I'm Nando.
And I'm here to sell you a car and a dream.
I'm here to tell you that you're disgusting, worthless trash if you've ever touched a controller.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo!
I'm the happy one.
This week, we're talking about a movie, one of the movies of the year, one of the so many things that this movie is one of. It's one of the video game movies of the year. It's one of the PlayStation brand things of the year, which this has been a very strong year for PlayStation brand things. And then obviously it's also one of our wonderful just brand movies in general. So we got to talk about Gran Turismo.
One of those valuable IPs we all love so much.
Love them.
Hey man, there must be people, right? It's been around forever, this game. Like I've never touched it, but like it's like the NCIS show, you know? People are watching it, but I don't know if they exist. It's just a different world we live in. But you guys, before we get to that,
never the twain shall meet.
Exactly. We have to talk about a video game news thing. I don't know if you guys saw this week. This is the news of the week. There is this Spider-Man game coming out. I don't know if you have heard. It's called Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I
think I've heard the name Spider-Man before.
Yeah. It's confusing. He is a man with the powers of a spider, proportional strength, and web slinging. That's related to his, intellect, the spider intellect, I guess, that he's used to develop web shooters. But anyway, there have been 2 video games about him, at least 2, Spider-Man 1 and then Spider-Man Miles Morales. So now we have another one coming out featuring both of those characters and Kraven from the movie Kraven that'll never come out. And then Venom is in it, you guys. Isn't that exciting?
How many inches of him?
So they put out an ad the other day where they're selling this humongous statue, and they said you could get all 19 inches of Venom.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
Baby.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lean into this and start selling other Venom things. But
here at Sony, we're delighted to announce our partnership with Bad Dragon.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so funny.
If you didn't get that joke, don't Google it.
Have you guys seen this 19-inch apparently statue?
No, I have not.
It is the most breakable thing I've ever seen.
Oh no.
There is no way it will make it past a week on anyone's counter if they have an animal. I'll put it in the chat.
That should be the litmus test. Like, will your cat knock it over? Michelle and I made the mistake of one time where we were playing a card game. It was getting late, so we just left it out, and T'Challa just destroyed it. Just the cards were all over the floor. You can't leave stuff out for cats. They will fucking so bad.
Especially not this, because cats love weird shit that they can brush up against.
Yeah.
And this is perfect for that. I'm putting it in our
another
general
reason
chat.
why no one should ever have a pet.
That's right. If you want to really commit to your 19 inches of Venom, you have to make a choice between what's important to you.
The Spider-Man is hanging on by the I'm trying
to thread.
Yeah.
Logistically, I'm okay, I guess the Spider-Man maybe weighs nothing because there's nothing supporting him but that web. Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure, I want to say it ships in pieces. Which means you can kind of detach the Spider-Man, I guess. But if that is, there's just no way these won't. Maybe they'll ship not broken, but I cannot imagine having one of these and it lasted for more than 2 or 3 days.
We appreciate, by the way, that we've gotten to a point because people don't get game discs anymore. It comes with the full digital game, no disc, but a steelbook display case.
Yeah, it's an empty steelbook case that you get with your game.
Insane.
It's pretty cool, I think, because that way you can pretend you have it. And you can put whatever you want in there,
That way you get all the drawbacks of digital only, but with none of the benefits of not having to produce wasteful, plastics and stuff.
Yep.
That's right. I feel like that is something that I've seen a lot of video games doing recently with this, you get the code or whatever. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. Everybody hates it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you prefer a disc?
Enough people don't hate it that they keep buying them.
It's true. Venom's pretty big. Speaking of 19 inches, he's just a big old boy. I feel like this is the biggest Venom I've ever seen.
Well, that definitely won't be to scale in the game, though, right? Like, I doubt you're fighting a Venom of that size.
I don't know. Look at the picture in the Steelbook display case.
The Spider-Man Ultimate video game, I feel like Venom was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Actually, Nando, you know what Venom's huge in? Midnight Suns. Venom is gigantic in the Midnight Suns video game.
See, I refuse to go to the part with Venom in it because it's boring.
You'd rather just do the endless missions on and on and on to just get more resources for Nico?
Me, Magic Storm, and who's the other one? Is it Wanda are doing missions together?
Okay, yeah.
Because it's an X-Men game. If you really, really squint, you can only see X-Men. But yeah, so I've not touched him or Morbius. To be fair, he also hasn't gotten played. But Deadpool and Storm, because they're X-Men, they did. But yeah, you're right though. He is big because he's a boss.
Yeah, he is a boss
that you do fight at certain points. But yeah, I think sometimes Venom's humongous. He's just like, this Venom is so big that it gets to that point like Iron Man is in Iron Man suits where you're like, his arms can't be moving. Like, he's the little baby boy in there, little Harry Osborn probably. Like, if he stretches his whole arms out wide, they barely make it to where Venom's shoulders are. Yeah. So what's happening inside of Venom's body? Is there nothing? Is he not moving and it's all just being kind of controlled with symbiote magic? I don't know. But,
yeah, I don't know. Nando, it's a good point. It's a good point, Nando.
Thank you. We'll see. I'm excited for this game. I'm excited for the video game companies to unionize or whatever, or strike too. That apparently was happening soon, right?
Now, right? Isn't voice acting work for video games? Isn't that now considered like struck work for actors that members of the Actors Union? Yeah.
That makes sense. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the video game companies are probably sitting there like, wait, what did we do? But you know what? This is good.
They did bad stuff. They're probably bad.
Hot union summer continues. And it seems like it's going to be hot union fall and winter and possibly spring and maybe summer again.
I think summer might not end. If you look at some of the maps and stuff where heat is, we might be in summer forever.
Perpetual summer.
Yeah, it might be summer and then like mega summer and then less summer, cold summer, almost summer again, and then back to mega summer. Like that might be how the seasons work now.
Yeah, it seems more and more like that might be the case.
Yeah. And listen, if you want, speaking of people that need to get outside, we got to talk about this week's movie, Gran Turismo. I'm so excited to talk about it. It is the third big video game movie of the year.
After Sonic 1 and Sonic 2.
That's right. No, you got Mario Brothers and then another one. I can't remember. One that we liked, right?
Why am I blanking?
Because there've been other things. There've been we
definitely loved it. Consider our inability to even remember what it is.
There's we had people at home scream as hard as you can at your computer.
Yeah, get it to us.
If you scream enough, it will reverberate into the past, and we will actually be able to hear it right now.
I'm almost positive there was something, but I can't remember what it was.
So.
And
I'm scrolling, and I mean, not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No.
Not Indiana Jones.
Obviously, it was The Flash
or Transformers.
No, not Elemental.
Ghosted Renfield.
Joyride.
D&D,
is that a video game?
Retroactively D&D, I guess maybe.
Maybe that. Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Are you thinking we said Super Mario Bros. Twice?
Maybe.
Is that what you're thinking?
Maybe I am. I could have sworn we had two video game movies this year besides this, but I guess I'm definitely wrong.
Super Mario Bros. Twice. I think that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. But there's that, and then we have the PlayStation stuff of the year, which is Last of Us, and then the Twisted Metal show that are both pretty good. So
you say.
So I say. But continuing on that journey, we have to talk about Gran Turismo.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you guys. Are you excited?
No.
Yes.
Oh, we got Five Nights at Freddy's. There's a video game. Oh, Tetris. Tetris is kind of this, maybe.
Okay.
I'm counting it.
Things we haven't done, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't done it yet, have we? I don't know.
At this point, we never will. I don't know about the yet.
We'll see. I don't know. It's pretty good.
Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, the being direct to Peacock is just the greatest gift of all time.
Yeah, that is such a good way to make sure I do it on the show.
Accessibility is huge.
I've seen a lot of posters and trailers for it and stuff. Like, people seem excited for it. I don't know. But yeah, let's talk about this one instead.
If we have
what is it? It's
Gran
this.
Turismo.
It's Gran Turismo.
Based on a true
Excuse me.
story.
I was going to say, Gran Turismo, based on a true story, according to my movie theater ticket.
Oh, no. Is that what it's
They
called?
put that on the ticket?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's
In
so
some,
much.
it has not been consistent. In some places, it's just Gran Turismo, and in some places, it is Gran Turismo, based on a true story. Like, the main name of the movie is based on a true story in the Gran Turismo franchise.
They're so scared if you don't think this is based on a true story that you will not even sort of care.
And you might be shocked to learn later in this podcast how much of this may or may not be based on a true story.
I'm excited
Diggins
to
did
learn
his
myself.
research, did he? He did his research?
Good, somebody did.
I mean, I'm glad when Diggins does his research.
Yeah.
Somebody's gotta.
Exactly. But speaking of somebody being, I think, Diggins?
That's right.
One last week has got to do the summary thingy for this.
Well, no, I don't, Nando. I am the IMDb keeper. You see,
Oh,
summarize
the IMDb summaries. More what I meant.
Sure. Here at Mostly Nitpicking HQ, we do a little game called the IMDb B as in Spelling Bee, where my two esteemed co-hosts have to guess what the IMDb summary of this movie is. Now, you might be asking yourself, where do they get those IMDb summaries? Well, I will tell you. You see, there is a room in IMDb headquarters, a room that no one is allowed to enter. It is in complete darkness. There is no light source and no window. There is only a single mail slot in the door. Nobody knows what goes on in that room. It was there when they bought the building, but every day at 2:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time prompt. It doesn't switch for daylight time. That trickster turns up. A packet falls out of the mail slot in that door, and in that packet is contained summaries for movies. Now, 9 of those summaries are for movies that only exist in alternate universes, movies that never have and never will exist in our universe. But one of them, every day, is for a movie that actually is coming out in our universe. And so they hire a bunch of interns to sift through this information, this packet that falls out of this room, to pick out the one real one every day and put that up on imdb.com. Now, I have the scribblings on the packet from the mysterious dark room in IMDb headquarters before me right now, and I will tell you, it is it feels like they might have hired whatever entity lives in the dark room for the PR team for this movie.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
I feel pretty confident. Well, Nando gets to decide.
Well, I'd love to hear you go first then.
Sick. Okay. All right.
Mr. Confidence.
Oh, but you're going to just rip mine. It's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Okay. All right. Based on the true. No, wait. Yeah. Oh, no. PR bot. All right. PR bot. Based on the unbelievable true story, a young gamer goes on a journey to go from amateur Gran Turismo player to a pro NASCAR driver for Sony and Nissan.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I like this because yours reminded me of something that I did not have that I wanted to add.
Okay.
But it is not exactly what you said, so I think it's still fair. Based on the best-selling PlayStation game,
damn it,
Gran Turismo is the story of real-life gamer Jan Martinborough, who wins the chance of a lifetime to race I already said Gran Turismo, to compete in races in the real world of Gran Turismo car racing. Can I say race 8 more times? Because then that'll really sew up what I'm going for here. But yeah, that.
Okay. Now, neither of you did amazing.
Damn it.
But one of you pretty much nailed the beginning, so I think I'm going to give it to that person.
Okay.
So it's either me saying it's based on a true story or Nando saying based off of a video game. So
I'm gonna read it out loud.
Okay.
And it'll become obvious who it is by word number 4.
Okay.
Based on the
Uh-huh.
unbelievable, inspiring true story
Oh
of
my
two
God.
underdogs. I'm not done. A struggling working class gamer,
Oh my god.
a
my
failed
God.
former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport exec who
What?
risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. This is the summary of the movie, not some like weird marketing material or
I told you they hired the entity in the dark room to work on the PR team.
Is that entity in the dark room also a big fan of like Lord of the Rings and like Pirates of the Caribbean? Because they're very generous with a specific character.
Yeah.
And their characterization in this movie.
Yeah.
I think they didn't
also-
see the movie; they just saw the trailers. What it seems like.
Also, the wording of this implies that it's the true story of all three of those characters, which is
Yeah.
very interesting considering only one of them is real.
Wow.
I love, by the way, how it really like leans into like the struggling working class, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, gotta risk it all. It's like, it tells you nothing about this movie.
If you didn't know that it was about car racing, this does not make it entirely clear.
Yeah, because the failed racer could have been doing other stuff, right? They could have been building tanks or whatever. Like,
That's true. Well, also, I feel like the struggling thing, that's not like he's doing okay. His dad is like, you gotta not play games all the time. But besides that, he seems like he's doing okay.
The one scene seems to imply that his dad has some shitty working class job, but they
Right.
also make it clear throughout the rest of the movie that his dad was like a very successful professional soccer player.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
think they're really doing that bad, and he probably doesn't need to work that working class job.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that this kid is able to buy all these fancy video game parts, it's like he's got a
Well,
little bit of money.
Nando, I think you're forgetting that he had to work selling underwear for a whole
that's
month
true.
oh my god.
to
Yeah.
afford that fancy wheel.
Oh,
So let's do this, you guys. Let's me explain the movie to people.
Right, that's your punishment for your failures.
your favorite thing to do ever.
And we kind of talked about it. The movie, like, as much as these kind of sometimes try to hide the fact that they're big commercials for a brand, I don't think any of them this year have been quite as much commercials for the brand as this one, because this movie starts with a commercial for the brand, like just straight out of the TV. Not even
Mhm.
characters talking about the show, or like, not like, the main character. What is his name? John, something like that.
Jan Martin.
Jan Martinborough. This isn't like Jan talking to his friend and explaining to him why Gran Turismo is so special. This is a computer, like a person from, Central Casting who's just reading like Gran Turismo is the best game ever made. It was made by this one guy who loved racing so much. He said, I want to risk it all to make the best game. And they use lots of computers that do lots of simulations. And it's the best racing game, the end. And that's like the first 2 minutes of the movie. I genuinely couldn't believe it when I
Yeah.
saw it.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. That was kind of what not like won me over, but was like, this is something special. Then we had, so we have this character, Danny Moore. I have the IMDb page open now. Played by Orlando Bloom, a.k.a. Luke Evans at home, as far as I'm concerned, in this movie.
Nice.
He is.
Love
I'm not
that.
saying he's bad or he's a discount Luke Evans. I'm just saying this character looked like he went to the Luke Evans school of putting grease in your hair and growing a mustache and stuff. Like, I many times I looked at the screen and was like, oh, I didn't know Luke Evans was in this. Oh, never mind. That's Orlando Bloom's guy.
I will say, I think when, I don't know if Michelle and I saw the trailer while watching TV or in a movie, but she did make the comment at the time. I'm like, oh yeah, Orlando Bloom's in this. She's like, that's Orlando Bloom. Why does he look so old?
Yeah.
And there's something about this that's like, I don't know. Orlando Bloom is just supposed to be always beautiful.
Did you tell
forever,
her
and
the cruel passage of time?
Yeah.
something else, man. I don't know. He's looked fine recently. I don't know, man. If you Google him, it's like, it's fine.
I mean,
I'm not
we've
saying I'm not saying the man doesn't look good. I'm saying it's been 20 years since those Lord of the Rings movies.
yeah. I mean, honestly, outside of this, it's Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean. I want to say did a couple of other things. He was naked paddleboarding that one time, and then that's it. Like, I can't think of another thing that I've seen Orlando
He was
Bloom
in the
in.
Hobbit movies.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was. He did the little Super Mario run. I remember that. I watched all of them. And he's in this. Maybe he'll be in the next one if they make two.
Who's to say?
So he plays Danny Moore. He is an ad executive or something, working for Nissan, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is presenting to Nissan his idea. Well, yeah. So I guess he's doing the presentation, but he doesn't do it. It's like somebody else. I'm
Nando,
pretty sure.
How could you have possibly forgotten that Orlando Bloom was in one of the best movie names of all time, Needle in a Time Stack?
He's in that. Oh man, I didn't know that.
I guess we have to do it now.
I like Orlando Bloom. Like in general, I think he's like I enjoyed him when he was everywhere. But yeah, and I'm glad, you know what, maybe he wanted to get out of the spotlight for a little bit. It's good for him.
If he wanted to be out of the spotlight, why did he star in the sleeper hit of the summer, Needle in a Time Stack?
It's a great question. But he so this guy has this wonderful idea. He is going to make a contest to get these real life gamers who are the best at Gran Turismo, because Gran Turismo is such a good game and it's so lifelike. He's going to get these people to compete, just use the best one of them, create the Gran Turismo Academy, where they will bring all these people to like hang out and learn to actually race cars, and then Nissan will take one of the racers, the best one, and sponsor them to be part of some sort of circuit racing something. It's kind of unclear. And the Nissan executives are like, we don't really like this idea, but we would like it to happen maybe if you can get us a guy, get a coach, or whatever this person's job is. What is his job, actually, now that I think about it? What does David Harbour do officially?
I believe it seems like for the shitty company he's working for, he is like one of the engineers, but he is being hired to be the chief engineer for this endeavor.
Yeah. So that's Danny Moore does the presentation. They're like, all right, well, if you can get a guy, maybe we'll do it. And Orlando Bloom, he goes through his whole little phone book, cannot find a single person except for this last guy, Jack Slater, played by David Harbour. So David Harbour in this is like you're saying, he works for the fucking guy from the evil Nazi from the Avengers, apparently. And also the evil Nazi from the more recent Indiana Jones movie. And his son are like rich, spoiled racers, and he hates his job there, but he also, this will be his defining character trait, hates gamers more, so he doesn't want to do it and says no. I don't remember where this happens in the movie, but then he goes to dinner with the annoying guy, and the annoying guy's annoying, and he's like, fuck this, I'm doing the gamer thing now. So then he joins the Nissan team, so that's Danny and Jack. While this is going on, Jan Martinborough is a kid. He lives in somewhere in England. His mom. That's right. He is in Wales. Yeah.
Now you might be asking, it's probably delightful to hear all those Welsh accents then, right?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
So this guy, he loves Gran Turismo so much. He plays the game. He has the fancy controllers, all that stuff. He also knows people who have like a warehouse where they play the game in fancier controllers, like the fanciest seats you've ever seen. He has a brother named Kobe, doesn't matter. Dad, Steve, played by Jimon Hansu, from all the things, Guardians, of the Galaxy, Shazam. He wears a hat now in Shazam, and he died in the first Aquaman movie. So he's there. He's his dad. He doesn't like video games because he's a serious man, doesn't work on the railroads or something.
He's a serious man. His mom, you've got to have a sensible, realistic plan for finding success, like being a professional soccer player.
Yep. And he also he doesn't get these video games, it's like that's not what he does, and he doesn't understand it. His mom exists as well, named Leslie, played by, did any of you guys catch this?
No.
Fucking Ginger Spice.
What?
Yeah, this is a Spice World movie as far as I'm concerned.
That's crazy.
I didn't know she was
also
acting again.
Yep.
Can I give you some interesting? Oh, that's crazy. Can I give you some interesting Ginger Spice trivia?
I mean, if it's not she's in Gran Turismo, I'm not going to guess it, but sure.
She is married to the principal of the F1 Red Bull team, Christian Horner.
Well, there you go.
Wow. So she has intimate knowledge of like the racing world.
So you think as
That's
part of
That's
the
so insane.
as part of the sponsorship deal that made this big commercial, do you think like is in the contract that like we can loan out Ginger Spice to you for the movie?
I guess I don't see the value add there, but you know,
I mean, if you had
something.
told Michelle that, what are the chances she would have watched it with you?
Yeah.
Fuck, damn, that's a really good point.
I mean, if you told like someone, I don't know, like in 2001, you told my sister that there's a movie starring one of the Spice Girls in Orlando Bloom, boom, that is gonna sell at least one ticket. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's
maybe that was what they were going for, and just took them way too long to make this movie. Stuck in development hell for 22 years.
Yeah, well, first they had to wait about 10 years for the events of the movie
For the
actually
kid to
happen.
exist. Yeah. Hey, you know, sometimes Hollywood does these in the wrong order, but yeah. So she's there. Jerry Spice, Ginger Spice, Jerry Horner. I believe in the movie. I want to say in the credits she was Jerry Hallowell, or Halloway or whatever. But she is Jerry Horner in the
I think in the
movie.
credits she's
Anyway.
Jerry Hallowell Horner, just so you
Okay.
know that she's Ginger Spice.
Yeah. So they have this son, and he has a job, and like I said, I think he works at like a Gap or something like that,
Mhm.
selling clothes. And one day he gets a call from his friend, and he's like, "Oh my God, you would never believe it, but there's a the computer says because you're so good at Gran Turismo, I'm gonna make that mistake a lot. Because you're so good at Gran Turismo, you're going to go and play Gran Turismo, and if you win, you get all to play it in real life. Like there's a contest and stuff."
I'm sorry. I'm just now picturing like a scenario where it's like, you're so good at Grand Theft Auto, we're gonna recruit you to do real crimes.
Yeah,
I
you're gonna
mean-
get a rocket launcher and a fucking
The movie
jetpack
seems
and
to
go get
think
him.
for a bit there that Gran Turismo is Grand Theft Auto.
That's a good point. Well, yeah. So
Oh,
I don't
man.
know that there's a big like victory screen in Gran Turismo that says cop avoidance.
So Jan Martinborough, he's like, he also has, like I said, his brother wants to go to the cool party. A girl is there named Audrey, who Jan knows. They talk for 1 second, almost kiss, but then they don't or something. Or maybe they do. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Then he does Grand Theft Auto stuff. He
Nando,
avoids a cop.
You'd never believe it. They almost kiss, but then some external noise happens that stops them, and then they don't kiss.
Right, because the cops show up and then they have to run away. So then they do cop avoidance. He does his real life racing skills, so he's got real life skills. I want to say he gets does he get grounded or something? I don't remember. This part of the movie.
You must now work on the railroad to prove that I'm going to prove a point that I have a shitty job, and if you keep doing what you're going to do, you're going to have a shitty job working here on the railroad.
Yeah.
And
then
he wasn't punished for taking the car out for a joyride. He was explicitly punished for playing too many video games.
But then doesn't he have to race? Like there's this really weird time sensitive part of the movie where he has to get to his little controller to play Grand Theft Auto or Gran Turismo for this thing, for this contest, and he can't get there on time. Is it because he just forgot, or why?
He just, for no reason, didn't tell his dad, I know your biggest problem with this is that there's no way I can ever make a real career out of it. But there's this crazy opportunity that just came up that would actually allow me to make a real career out of it. And even though that's your main problem with this whole thing, I'm not going to tell you that in a situation in which you not knowing that could make me lose that opportunity.
Yep. And then he just doesn't. He gets there just in time and wins to qualify. And he goes to the Gran Turismo Academy with a bunch of kids. There's 10 of them or something. They were all kids too. I was surprised there wasn't one 40-year-old guy or something there, It's little Harry Potter's team of little children. Because he got a couple of kids. I can't really remember them besides the one from that one show, Never Have I Ever, I think that's what it's called or whatever. Named Maddie in this, played by Darren Barnett, and then a girl. Those are the only ones that really stuck out to me.
There's
another one.
Girls.
I know, but there's only one that stays around until the second round of cuts. I'm sure there were others. But then this is when he meets Jack. Now, at this point in his career, Jack thinks this is dumb. And every single time Jack talks to the kids, he's like, fuck you. I hate you. I hate video games. You're all going to die in a race car. Or you're not even going to get in a race car because I'll never let you. And then he makes them train because they have to train to be real athletes, because this is real athletics, you guys. This isn't just getting in a car in your underwear and like playing video games. This is like going into space pretty much. You need to have G forces and reaction times and all that stuff. So he makes them jog and whatever. And one by one, they're eliminated. Jan does pretty well. He's not perfect, but like he's doing okay. They actually get in cars, and Jan has one moment where he almost does well, but he hesitates and he brakes in the part where he's not supposed to brake, and it fucks up everything.
Is that what happened, Nando?
Except Jan is like, no, the brakes glazed over. It's not my fault. And for some reason, even though this seems pretty plausible, like as an explanation, Jack's like, no, it didn't. Fuck you. I hate you. Go exercise bicycle. And then when he's doing that, the guy who I guess it's like their actual professional race car driver, man, it's like the brakes they glaze over. That did happen. And that's when Jack is like, wow, I respect this kid a tiny bit. Like almost kind of get something.
I don't know what the fuck brakes glazing means, and nobody in the movie will tell me.
I Googled this because there was nobody in my movie. It's when the brakes get so hot that they like stop creating friction or something and just slide. Which shouldn't be how they work, but I guess sometimes they do.
Well, cars shouldn't go as fast as they do in race car driving, so...
I guess a race car should, though. You kind of figure that's going to be going race car speeds. I don't think they get it out there and like, whoa, you go way too fast. This is supposed to be one of those slow race cars.
The whole reason pit stops exist in race car driving is because... it is such an incredibly bad idea for cars to go that fast that they break down immediately.
Well, we'll get to it, Diggins. We'll get to it. But for now, that is the only problem, was the thing's glazed or whatever. So now he respects the boy. Jack is like, and he's like kind of a cool guy. He knows stuff. He's clearly got some sort of past, but it's not clear why he doesn't race cars anymore. So then they do more tests. There's more racing. The racing is mostly composed of drone shots mixed with shots of the car parts moving individually, and sometimes they put little markers over the cars so we can remember which one's the main character.
And sometimes we do a matrix build the car around him.
Oh my god.
So it can be just like his favorite video game.
That's right.
Hey, that shit is tight.
They love it. And listen, it's the game, so sure. I would say they only do it maybe twice. I feel like there's one in the beginning of the movie and one in the end. But it is every so often, it's kind of like the Tetris movie, honestly. They weave some sort of video game thing into the movie, but it's not done consistently enough that it really feels like a part of the movie, or like it's some sort of actual like lens through which to view the world. It is just like they realized it was kind of hard to track this one shot, so they put the word Jan over his car and kind of made it look like a video game.
They realized that race car driving is uninteresting and hard to follow, so we had to put graphics over it to fix that.
Hell yeah.
And so then Jan races all the other boys and the girl, all the people, the 5 of them that are left, and he wins. And he wins because he's the best race car driver. And then he gets to go to do more races. Now, the way this works is kind of confusing. He needs to race in the contests he wants to race in first. He needs to get a 4th place or better finish in one of, I think, 5 or 6 races to get a license so that he can race in the rest of the races. So he has like a couple of like exhibition kind of races. Nissan, like you said, is going to sponsor him. They sign him up, and then they let him go do the races. And it's hard because everybody, like Jack says, everybody's going to hate you. Nobody's going to respect you. And it's going to be really bad. And then what does he do? I guess he just goes and does those races then, right? They all go kind of poorly until the last one where it goes well.
Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you believe it? Just like in the qualifying race in the video game and the final race in the competition, at the last lap and the last second, he pulls even and wins by a split-second finish. You know that thing that happens all the time in racing, and therefore it's not at all incredibly silly that this is the 3rd time it's happened?
Get the fuck out.
Well, and we didn't talk about this. That one shitty kid from the beginning who races the gold Lamborghini or whatever. Or no, it's not a Lamborghini. Is it a McLaren? No, Maserati? I can't remember. But anyway.
One of them fancy cars.
Yeah, I'm not a huge car person, but I recognize some of the words they were using, but I can't remember what this one was. Anyway, one of the kids who races supercars, who David Harbour used to work for, the one who's a piece of shit, is in these races too, and kind of becomes Jan's enemy. And to the point where he'll like sabotage Jan and like parts, try to get him to spin out. There's another racer who also gets highlighted by the movie, but he doesn't matter. And then, so that's like, you know, building a little tension there. But Jan manages to get his license. He qualifies in one of these races, and then boom, now he's got his license and he gets to drive in the rest of the races forever for the rest of his life, I guess. I don't know. But he doesn't really have like, there's no end game. It's just like kind of keep doing it, which is weird because the movie knows there has to be one. But after he gets the license, there can't really be anything. But the most interesting thing he does happens after he gets the license, so the movie can end there. At this point, him and David Harbour are kind of friends because David Harbour realizes he's cool, and the pit crew hates him. But then David Harbour's like, hey, we're gonna go to Tokyo to sign this thing, or somewhere in Japan, I can't remember. But you should fly out that girl that you keep looking at on Instagram to see if she wants to come, because it would be nice. And he does. He calls Audrey, and they go hang out in Japan and eat sushi. Then he goes and does races, and he does one probably that goes fine. I can't remember. Then he goes to Germany, Nuremberg. I want to say is like the track. It's the most dangerous track in the world.
It's not Nuremberg. It's not where they did this.
It's not Nuremberg.
Where was it? I think it's like Nürburgring or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So for people that don't really read the movie titles as well as they should, Nuremberg is where this racetrack is. And boy, it's the most dangerous race you've ever seen, because it's got all kinds of weird turns and it goes through the woods or something. And he's going to do this race, and it's going to be really cool. And he's doing okay. His stupid villain is there, Kappa, the golden boy.
The guy who's racist against gamers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody in this is racist against gamers.
Can you
except for
blame
Jack.
him?
Yeah, exactly. And like,
well, no, Jack is racist against gamers. He just knows that Jan is one of the good ones.
That's fair. But then Jan has a really cool moment where he beats Kappa in like a little straightaway, and he uses one of his little tricks. And then he goes over a hill and catches the wind in a really weird way that his car goes up like a kite and then just plows through a bunch of fences and crashes. He wakes up. Also, his mom and dad, this is the first time they've ever watched one of these races, it seems like. According to the movie, I imagine they were probably watching them before this. But mom and dad are like, uh-oh. It turns out Jan.
Sorry that you said that.
They are. They're like,
uh-oh. This ain't good.
Uh-oh. Jan's did a little oopsie whoopsie.
Yeah, Ziggy say, we got our kid might be dead. And he did a murder, find out. He did a car murder, kind of.
He did a car manslaughter.
Yeah, which has happened in real life, apparently. But yeah, so his car flew through not the stands, because it's not the stands. But it's like, I guess in racing, and this I was kind of confused by in the moment, because I don't know too much about racing. They just let you sit on the sideline and you're behind a fence, but clearly it's not a car-proof fence. Like, if a car decides to go through that fence, it's going through. And
there are so many more. This is like there's so many more fences going on. Like I've seen some like pretty gnarly crashes, and for it to like go to where people are, it'd have to be crazy. I don't know the specifics of this incident, but
I mean this did happen. Yeah. So whatever things he did, his car did fly over them. But I believe that there's more than the movie shows.
Oh God, there's gotta be.
And I've looked at this a little bit because I was curious. There are other races, like rally races, that are just like, cars in the dirt, like the smaller, like the ones that have like Red Bull
cars.
Like that episode of
and those
Face.
That's right. Well, I'm thinking more like, because there's that, but then there's those that go through like towns, and people really do line the streets. As if this car takes a little, hits a pebble wrong, it's gonna, and then people get hit all the time. It's crazy. But in this situation, Jan survives. He's some sort of injuries, like but he's mostly fine because the cars are good. But he did kill a person, so he's kind of, it's bummed about that. He wants to quit, kind of, but like he's just upset.
Feels like he's open to a couple of different options here.
Yeah,
that's where he's at.
You kind of figure and even Nissan is like, you see Orlando Bloom in a movie that is not made by Gran Turismo and Nissan. This is when Orlando Bloom would turn into the bad guy, and go like, we can't let you race
Yes.
anymore because you suck and you're getting us killed and you're losing us money.
And the movie has been
But-
hinting that he's the bad guy because he's like,
That's right.
even though Jan won, he's like, ooh, what if Jan didn't win
Right.
because he's not good on the camera.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's part of it is camera readiness. And yeah, Darren Barnett's kid, like Matt, is better at that than Jan. But because he won, and technically he did win, then David Harbour is like, I don't care, he won, so we're taking that kid. Because honestly, because David Harbour just hates this guy, and he's like, you want this thing? All right, well, we're doing the other thing, and I get to have the rules be part of it, so it's even better for me. But anyway, so so Orlando Bloom instead is like, they're gonna investigate it. You might be in a little bit of trouble. You're not. And it does turn out that what David Harbour says in that moment is like, I should have pitted you early. It seems like part of the problem is that his car was lighter because it didn't have all the fuel in it and stuff. And that was part of why he was able to take off like a kite. Part of it also is just the amount of wind and pressure and stuff like that. But that is the explanation that David Harbour gives in the moment for why it's actually his fault why the kid died, or the person died. I don't know who it was. The movie doesn't spend time on it because he does go back. So he goes back and has like a moment where he races and walks to that part of the racetrack and like is sad about it. And then David Harbour is like, no, but you got to keep going because I used to be a racer before and I had a big crash kind of like this, and that made me quit forever. But you shouldn't be scared, you should be brave. And they makes him finish the race, does that lap in his car, and then he continues on to the race that they were talking about a little bit. Shoot, I forgot already where it was. It's the famous one, Le Mans. Yeah, so it's like, we got to go to Le Mans. That's always been my goal, because it's like, that's the immortality. If you get a podium on Le Mans, it's incredible. But you figure by this point Nissan would say no, but they were like, no, it's fine, whatever. And it's a rally race. You need 3 people for 24 hours. I don't know why this is a thing. Who could watch this? Who could care? But apparently this is normal.
There's another movie about this, starring, God damn it, I want to say Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
That
Rush,
movie,
right?
The climax of that movie is about Le Mans.
I'm just curious. Yeah. And it turns out, I think in real life, that the Germany race was also one of these 24-hour races. Yeah. And like, it seems like a lot of these are those, which is weird because it's like, I just don't understand. I understand why you would want the race to last for more than like 1 lap, but at how many laps is it just like, I guess he's going to win versus what? I don't know. But anyway, this one goes 24 hours. So
it's not like who's at the lead at the end. It's who traveled the most in that 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess technically then that person would be in the lead, right? Like it is still a race, right?
I mean, I guess it's like you could be in the lead, quote unquote, but depending on like times and other stuff, you might not have actually gone as far as other people.
Yeah, if you got lapped or something,
So it's the end of the movie. There's they need a team of 3 racers to do this. They get to switch. So they call 2 of the other gamers, Darren Barnett's guy and another one who I can't remember. And they do okay. In the beginning, it seems like John is really scared and like has, PTSD, but then he kind of gets over it. And then the other problem is one of the boys doesn't do a good job. So then Jan is like in trouble. But then he races really well with all the love of his family and stuff. His dad loves him now because he gets it. And then he gets 3rd place in the race. And so that's technically he podiums. He gets 3rd place. And then at the end, that's the whole. Then we look at like little pictures of the real guy who apparently did actual stunt driving for this movie. And does exist, kind of. Not exactly the way the movie portrayed it, but like he does do this.
He did. He was a hashtag gamer who won a competition and became a professional race car driver. That is more or less the extent of the truthfulness in this movie.
Oh, and then I don't want to forget, in the post-credit scene, Ratchet comes through the portal and recruits him to join the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale movie, which I think is coming out in 2 years.
Yeah, I did think that was really exciting when they had Ratchet.
Yes.
Although I was sad that they didn't bother to have Clank.
They couldn't afford him. They put too much money in the computer parts of the car, zooming out and then turning back into a car. So they needed they got a real wombat or whatever Ratchet is.
Wombat?
They couldn't.
The fake alien.
Is he Wombax? Right. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, but so they couldn't get Ratchet, or they couldn't get Clank. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's not really, his family doesn't love him, then they do, and the girlfriend's there, and she's kind of upset the whole time. Not upset the whole time, but like she's anxious about the race. And,
Nando, you're ascribing far more personality to her than the movie gives her.
she sits down with them at the race and goes, "Is this where we sit?" And then the one's like, "Yeah, they sit here," and then that's it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And hey, whatever, who cares? At this point, it's like if she had more stress or less stress, it wouldn't matter. He's in the race car. That's where the danger is. So,
And her entire personality in the whole movie is wants to kiss Jan.
Is Instagram. She's from Instagram.
Yeah.
So, likes her stories. What was this be in? I guess, when did this happen in real life? So probably 5 years ago, right? 6 years ago?
I think he won the competition, the GT Academy, in 2013.
Okay. So it was like Snapchat Reels or something, or I can't even imagine what. She's poking you on Facebook, Jan. I don't even know what it was then. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So DJ, as the winner, because you appreciate the real true life harrowing story of middle class poor boy. What did you think of 2023's PlayStation Sony's Gran Turismo?
I hated it so much, guys. I hated it so much. I don't know if it's that I enjoy, racing to an extent that, I've been insulted by this movie. I think it spends all of the wrong time in all of the wrong places. We didn't talk about this last week, but Retribution is like a sweet tight 90. It's like right in there in that nice little sweet spot. And this movie is a goddamn 2 hours and 50 minutes long, and it spends all the time in all the wrong places. Like there's too little of the Academy, but too much of the bullshit family and romance, and too little of the gearing up to race, but too much of the like the really boring parts of the racing. Like it just felt so discombobulated. And like, if you're gonna be a commercial, like take a lesson from Super Mario Bros. And be an 83-minute commercial. Like, I shouldn't leave the theater being like, I am disgusted by the product I just saw. And I now have bad associations with Gran Turismo. So yeah, I did not care for this movie one bit. I thought the actors acted. I like, really? I just didn't like it. And I'm sorry that I didn't like it to an extent, but man, this movie was just kind of a bummer. What about you, Nando?
Wow. Well, sorry, I feel weird. The spirit of Diggins is flowing through me right now. Because
oh no,
you guys, I kind of liked it.
What?
It was good. Yeah, I had a great time with it. I don't know. Maybe it's the speed racer in me. Like, I am a real sucker for a racing movie, but also I do think I understand what you're saying. It is a long movie, and I do think it's weird because you can't cut. I think you could completely cut the Academy stuff if you needed to cut something and just have him start, pretend that doesn't exist and have him just win the race in the computer, and then he starts driving to get his license, whatever. Because you can still do all the I don't like you, you're a gamer, fuck you moments. But besides that, besides the movie being a little longer than it needed to be, I thought all the acting was really good, and I think David Harbour was really solid in this, and just it was a really I originally thought the kid was bad. I didn't like him in the beginning of the movie, but over the course of the movie, I I was into it. I thought it was solid. I thought so. We didn't say this. It's directed by Neil Blomkamp, who people would probably remember from District 9, which is his best movie. I think he's supposed to be making he was going to do an Alien thing, but I think they cut it or something like that. But he does stuff. He's a pretty funky director. And I think this movie had a fair amount of style. I don't think it shot the racing in a way that was incredibly easy to follow, but I was still engaged with it, and the visuals and the sound design and all that. And then on top of that, what was I saying? I think at the part where the movie kind of starts to get dull, which is the Nuremberg or whatever we're calling it race, then when he kills that guy, I'm like, this is kind of interesting now. I was because I was alone in the theater, so I could say whatever I want. But when the car went up in the air, I was like, holy shit. And then I think after that, it felt like a movie. It stopped being a commercial, and it was just a pretty interesting story. So I don't know. I don't think it's my favorite movie of the year or anything like that, but I went in with very low expectations, and I had a really good time with this movie. Yeah. What about you, Diggins? What did you think of Gran Turismo?
Oh, Well, I absolutely love to see the heel turn on Nando. This is great.
I don't know. I liked it.
I'm 100% supporting you, Nando. I love that you feel that way. It's great. However, this movie does suck.
Thank you, Diggins. Thank you, Diggins. Love you, buddy.
I'm so glad that you love it, Nando. I hated it.
Diggins and me are just like vibing right now. So good.
Here's the thing
we
about
both
me.
hate gamers.
I
you
hate
know?
gamers,
I
first of all.
I want to kiss Diggins on the mouth.
Ooh, not while your wife is watching.
Hey.
No, here's the thing about me as a person. I could not possibly be less interested in racing, cars, or negative reinforcement. So this movie was and also, honestly, when I watched it, it's pretty hungry. So,
man,
a hard sell for me on multiple fronts.
So when Dave Harper was like, "Where's your hot pockets, you gamers?" Were you like, "Oh, you can't even remind me of hot pockets now"?
Yeah, my belly went all rumbly, and I was like, "Oh, David Harbour, don't talk about food, please."
Yeah.
No, okay, but I think the first.
It's just really. I like the idea Neil Blomkamp was like, I think these kids might be really hungry. Let's put in a clip of them slowly eating sushi. Just a really twisted knife. Make sure he has a horrible experience. Yum, yum, yum. This is delicious sushi.
This is what you get for liking District 9 and then none of my other movies.
Oh, what if healthcare was expensive in the sky, you know? He didn't think about that. That didn't have a hard time.
That's on me, I guess.
Yeah. To be fair, I haven't seen it. I don't know. Maybe it's good, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. So more about this movie.
Yeah. No, okay. So all those factors working against it, I don't think this movie helps its case by being really boring and trite and perfunctory. It felt like every emotional beat was there because they were like, this is what happens in an inspirational sports movie, so it must happen here. And like there was no actual like setup or like reason for anything to happen when it happened. Like his parents love him, his dad loves him and is proud of him at the end, not because of anything he did or went through, but just because this is the moment where his dad has to be proud of him. The girl, he literally gets the girl because he called her finally. There was no obstacle to them getting together except him physically picking up the phone.
Yeah. He needed to give her 100 Instagram reels or something or whatever. You know, that takes time. You got to develop stuff like that. It can't just happen. Even though they were about to kiss in the beginning of the movie anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's stuff like that just makes me feel like there's just nothing going on in this movie that I think is like making me interested, because watching cars speed around a track is my idea of a sleep aid. So sorry, you go.
Diggins, no, I'm interrupting you here, so I'm the bad boy, but I really need to tack on to this point that you said because it's so accurate. I feel like because this game is like made by gamers for gamers, or like whatever, made by corporate executives for corporate executives, because it's that, the main character who is a gamer can do no wrong. Like, he is perfect.
I think he did one big wrong.
The movie's very clear that it's not his fault, Nando.
Yeah, exactly. So because he can do no wrong, like, it takes all of like the interesting bits out of it, because it's like he was right about the brakes. He could always get the girl. He's just right in every scenario, and it sucks.
And like I said, I feel like the doing the inspirational sports movie bits becomes silly at a certain point, because there's literally 4 times in this movie that he wins a race at the last second with like a split, like a photo finish. A thing that does not happen that often, but every single race he wins that way.
Or loses in incredible fashion. Like, 27th place again. What are we gonna do?
I mean,
it's all or nothing with these gamers.
In some of the montage, he gets like 8th place or something, where it's like, that's a respectable performance. But all the races we actually spent any time with, he either, loses in spectacular fashion or wins with a photo finish at the last second.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the races also, like, it's like if someone like me wrote a movie about races where like every race is that doesn't end with like a burnout or whatever. It's like Jan 12th place, and then cut to Jan, you're in 8th place, you're getting there, and then like cut to Jan 6th place. Wow, like but it's because these races are all like a day long. It's insane. Why did they race this long? What's the point? Do 5 laps and then we'll figure out who's the best. I don't know.
But stuff like that, when you're doing like, say, a silly speed racer, I think it's fine because it is meant to be ridiculous and over the top and not any kind of realistic depiction of anything. But this is like trying to do the inspiring true story stuff while making up nearly every single detail, first of all.
Yeah.
And just seeming so like silly and exaggerated and unrealistic in ways that like took me out of it. So yeah. I really did not enjoy it at all. I'm so happy for you, Nando. I love that you love it. I'm glad that we have someone to play my role on this podcast, but because it couldn't be me.
I mean, listen, man. Not only did I have a meal before I went to the movie, I ate I had a big thing of popcorn that I ate half of. And then because I go to these movies at like 10 o'clock at night now, I went to the place right before they shut down the like stand and then got it refilled. So I just had infinite popcorn. So I was not going to be hungry. And I also like Cars. So yeah, we are on opposite ends of the Cars hungry spectrum here. And that explains a little bit of it, at least.
Yeah, the graph of like car versus hunger, you and I are on completely separate quadrants.
Yeah, I guess where do we start with this? I mean, okay, so we'll kind of pepper in the what's real, what's fake as we go. But Diggins, as someone who does kind of know what happened, what would you say is the biggest thing that you were surprised by that they changed, or like something that you're like, that's pretty important they skipped or added?
I mean, I knew the story afterwards because I read it. I was like, wow, none of this was true. So like, well, first of all, he wasn't in the first competition of this.
Oh,
okay.
He was the third person to win that competition.
Did the first two not make it to actual driving?
No, they did. They're also professional race car drivers.
Oh.
In fact,
Were they?
One of the real people who raced with him at Le Mans was one of the people who won before him.
Wait, one of the real people on his racing team, or one of the real people that was on the like
on his team.
teams?
The like Spanish guy is based on a real racer, I think called Lucas Ordóñez, who was also a real winner of this competition, who won before John Martinborough.
Fascinating. So then why didn't they make the movie about him?
I don't know.
Did he do something terrible in life or something? I can't even. Why wouldn't you do that?
As far as I can tell, his career was like not particularly less notable than Jan Martinborough, so I really don't.
That's really weird. Maybe he wouldn't. Well, no, because he was in the movie anyway, so it's not like he wouldn't sign his rights away.
Well, he's not in the movie. That's a fake guy based on the real guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
No one in this movie is real except for Jan and his dad, I think.
Not even that guy in the commercial who invented the game? Okay. That guy seemed pretty real.
Well, okay, yes. Kazunori Yanauchi is real. Although he's not the guy who is Kazunori Yanauchi in the movie, but he is in the movie.
That guy in the movie, I was like, because I see him in the thing. He was in the Snake Eyes movie that we did. And I don't think he's like the boss of that family, but he's somebody in there.
But Kazunori Yanauchi is in the movie as the sushi chef.
Oh, what? I wonder why they spent so much time with the sushi chef. I mean, this doesn't make that much more sense, but sure.
Why didn't he play himself?
Because he's a bad actor, I guess, or something. I have to look at him now.
The character doesn't say anything in the movie except like, it's cool that you are a good gamer racer boy, and then leaves.
Listen, I have nothing but respect for people that are real casting a much more handsome version of themselves in the movie. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he was just like, I really like this actor from stuff. Can he be me? And then they let him. So that's my best guess, because there's no other explanation that makes sense.
Lucas Ordóñez's career kind of sounds like he had a better career than Jan Martinborough, if I'm reading this right.
I mean, like, I don't want to say it's all this, but do you think it's The Crash? Because The Crash is just a much better second to third act dramatic beat in a movie. And they were like, well, that's the most interesting thing we can put in one of these movies. We got to put that in.
I don't know enough about this stuff to like say with confidence who's the better driver or like who has the more interesting story or whatever. So I don't want to say anything inflammatory here, but I am genuinely uncertain why he is the one they've singled out.
I mean, I was going to say, we also don't want to upset audience of gamers because we have so many.
That's true.
Yes.
That'd
Was
be
his-
offensive.
Gamers
Maybe
rise up.
was his dad rich? Was he like even less working class than the professional soccer player? And they couldn't even sell that first line of the IMDb summary with this guy? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So there's that. The executive and David Harbour are both fake. Neither of them are real people.
So like that makes sense, except like those guys existed, I assume, right? They didn't just throw them in a car and go, "You figure out what all the buttons do." Like,
Sure.
so what
Yeah.
was that guy like in real life?
There were people who came up with the idea of the competition and people who helped train him and whatnot. I think for both of them, it's not one person.
Right. Okay.
So they
that
just
makes
made up one person to be a movie.
sense. They didn't like all sit around and just hang out and like drink beer, talk about girls. Should have done that in real life.
We should have. The crash happened 2 years after Le Mans.
Yeah, that I saw in the thing. I was kind of surprised by. But again, it makes perfect sense as in a script perspective. Like that is where you put that. So it'd be a really weird way to end the movie if Le Mans was the second or third act kind of thing. And then, but yeah.
I think that's all the major stuff.
Has either of you guys ever played this game?
No.
No, I told you I don't care about cars or racing.
Yeah, I guess I played it once or twice, and I was like, see, the problem with this game for me is it's too realistic. It's no fun. Like, there's too much math and like in getting the right weight and stuff. I want to be able to like jump my car over a ramp and stuff like that.
You want Burnout. That's what you want.
Yeah, Burnout, like any of the Need for Speed games, like that one's Mario Kart, yeah, Split Second, which I loved. Crash Team Racing, like I feel like there's a lot of racing games that exist that are like even like Forza. I feel like I played way more Forza than this. But I think that's just an Xbox PlayStation thing because I just didn't have a PlayStation. But or that whatchamacallit game that I love so much, which I still think is good. The Hot Wheels game. That's my kind of
Oh,
racing.
yeah.
I want a little tiny car and a big thing full of loops.
So you like an arcade style racer and not a sim style racer.
That's right. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure these are kind of interesting. But again, like, it's just watching this, it's like it is kind of hard to make it look exciting compared to stuff like Speed Racer or whatever, where it is just like what's happening is exciting because it is just guys driving on a pretty straight bunch of stuff and then turning. Like, I don't know.
I'm sure
not-
it's difficult to do. I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
David Harbour is
Yeah.
right about how all these scrawny gamer punks could never hack it. But it's not interesting to watch, if you ask me.
So I
Yeah.
had this in one of my notes, and I thought this was funny. So during like the boot camp, where they have all the gamers together, right? There's like a point where like there's the montage of how they're all failing. So some of them can't run good, other of them like can't, like, I don't know, drive actual car good. But then there's some weird ones, like they're playing like the touch light game, detects reflexes, which is like
yeah.
a real thing, and like they should be good at that. They're all gamers. There's one girl who crashes out like on this simulation of the game, and that one I'm like, how'd she get in?
That's a good
What
question.
what the hell's going on here? This ain't right. So
Yeah.
some of these I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here.
Maybe she used cheat codes in real life or in the game, but you can't use cheat codes in real life.
Yeah,
You know?
she logged all those hours cheating,
Mhm.
straight cheating.
David Harbour told us. This is why, like, and I do think it's crazy that this movie came out the same year as the Twisted Metal show. Both PlayStation
Right.
properties, both car racing things, and the Twisted Metal show was way more fun. But also, just like it has all that bullshit kind of sewn into it because it does, like, his car steering wheel has buttons on it and stuff. And like at one point, he puts in like the Konami code in his gear shifter because that's how he starts his
Yeah.
car. But like, yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be for this game. Just slightly less drag. Like, what would a cheat code even get you? More gas.
Well, Nas, that gives you the Nas.
Oh, yeah, that
If
would
you-
be
if you-
fun.
That gets Vin Diesel to show up and he drives the car for you.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's other people I guess that could drive it better. That guy who yells at everybody on TV, his two friends, like Chris Hemsworth's guy, Adam Driver now is in a movie as a driving man. I think the Ferrari movie, right?
Oh,
that comes out soon.
yeah.
Yes, we've just
Um,
determined that Adam Driver needs to play all of our famous Italians.
Right, yeah. And then who was in Ford v Ferrari? That was another one of these.
Oh yeah.
That was it Matt Damon and Christian Bale?
Right, yeah. Wait, and which one's Daniel Bruhl in? Is that Rush? Is that the one with Chris Hemsworth?
I think so.
Nikki
yeah.
Lauda? Yeah, that's what that one is.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of these movies recently. I don't know why.
This is easily the worst one. by
I mean,
a fucking mile.
I haven't seen Ford v Ferrari. I've only seen Rush, and the other one isn't out yet. But I mean, Rush is good. I think Rush is just like a rock solid movie.
Ford v Ferrari is pretty good.
I haven't seen Rush.
good.
Ford v Ferrari is fine. I didn't like.
Well,
love
TJ had a
it,
kid,
but-
so you know.
Oh yeah, so
He's a dad. These movies are for
Yeah.
dads. Yeah.
Yeah,
And not this one,
that's
but the
true.
other ones. Although this movie does have a little bit of dad in there when the dad gets to hug the son and stuff.
Right, but that's just so
Oh.
that gamers can live the unrealistic fantasy of being respected by their fathers.
Even at the end, the dad's like, listen, video games are pretty stupid, but you are my son, so, you know,
Yeah.
let's be friends.
Well, if he was like,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
gaming is cool now, then all the gamers would be like, there's no way this would ever happen.
The realism has just been sapped from this for me.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, these games, I mean, yeah, these games are just not super fun. Even in the commercial where in the beginning of the movie where the movie tells me why the game is cool, it doesn't seem fun.
That's true. Like the all of the exposition that they give us, it's like I don't and the little subliminal things. You notice that when he's driving and they would like pause the whole screen and put a little overlay of what place he's in. There's little PlayStation sounds.
Oh my
Just
God.
making me
Well,
think he'll fucking
Yeah, that
pause
was
it.
one of my notes. When it says based on a true story, they do the PlayStation bong, like the PlayStation starting. And I
Yeah.
was like, that is a Pavlovian response for me now of like somebody sat on the controller.
My
Yes.
cat. My cat
Yeah.
turned on the fucking controller. Yeah.
I wasn't trying to play PlayStation now, but I guess I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff was weird.
I mean, that is what I wanted to do.
I don't know. Is it like, have you guys seen Tetris?
Nope.
No.
It's the same amount of like interaction where it does feel like more or less, you know, go 100%, make the whole thing all silly and full of bullshit, like the HUD displays and stuff, or do none of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why, like,
Well,
yeah.
especially this movie that is supposed to be allegedly the serious car racing movie. It devolves into the silly, like, just nonsense. I also have to say, you know, I know a lot we complain, all the bits are in the trailer nowadays. This movie, the entire movie was in the trailer. There is nothing held back that is like inside this movie. It's so hollow. I can't believe it's an hour or 2 hours and 15 minutes.
See,
It's crazy to me.
I was tricked because in the trailer, they do show the big crash, but somebody earlier in the movie also crashes kind of like that. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. They put that in the movie just so they could have it in the trailer. But yeah, I don't think I saw more than one trailer for this. And I didn't really pay attention because I couldn't watch Stranger Things dad yell at me about like playing video games.
Well, you know, whenever I see a gamer, I have to avert my eyes lest I be poisoned by their ineptitude. So I never
fair.
really watched any of the trailers. Like they would come on during movies I was watching, and I would bury my head in my girlfriend's shoulder so that I couldn't see the profane image of the gamers.
Not that I think about it. Like, you do figure a movie like this with this kind of integrating game stuff would, if it were more purposeful and like if it felt like that was the whole point, would become more of a thing. You know, like by the end of the movie, we see all the HUD stuff because that's how he is comfortable doing it now. But in the beginning, it would just be chaotic and like, you know, flying around and stuff. But yeah, they did that a little bit with that one kind of turn maneuver he seemed to invent, which was turning a little bit wider than the other guys. But besides that, they didn't really get into it too much.
That would be cool if this movie had an idea in it. You're right.
Well, I do think like it did a lot of like there was like this movie was obsessed with all the car parts. That was what I think this movie decided to focus on instead. It was like really short drone shots, not short enough or not long enough to figure out where everybody is, and then engine, and then brake, and then steam and stuff. Like a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in fairness, if you're a Gran Turismo fan, you're a freak who gets excited about the spoilers on the back of the car and what they mean for wind resistance and everything. So I guess that
Yeah.
is the part you like.
That's why it's so boring, and that's why I like watching him play it and talk about it. I'm like, that does not seem fun. But you know, I don't know. They love it.
Guys, you know what
else is
I
weird
love?
is that?
They sure do.
You know
Yeah, what do you
I
love?
I
What do you love,
love
Diggins?
when a song is playing in a movie and then someone else comes in the scene and it turns out the song is diegetically playing in a character's headphones.
It's the best thing
Mm.
ever.
I love it so much that I think movies should have it no less than 7 times.
I like it when
It
people
was
wear
so
those
much.
orange headphones from Star-Lord. I think those are the best things ever. And putting a character in those really makes me like them.
To like, yeah. It's this movie like wanted to be. Is this the freaking the I don't know if you guys saw this, but on the most recent episode of Hard Knocks, like Aaron Rodgers wears like wired headphones, and someone's like, why don't you wear like wired earbuds, so much better? And he's like, oh, I don't want the rays like hitting my brain.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Oh, Aaron. The Jets are. I want to like. Not even I want to enjoy the Jets season because I don't. I don't like the Jets, but I don't want it to go badly because of this. Ugh, he's dumb.
Listen, the Jets season's going to go badly no matter what because they're the Jets. Just embrace
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
So clearly, David Harbour was worried about the fucking rays hitting his.
Yeah.
So he's like, I gotta go wide.
Yeah, he was worried about that 5G. What we missed in this
That's
is
right.
every time the scene cuts from his conversations with Jan, it's when he's right about to go to. By the way, I did some investigation online, and I've heard about this Comet Pizza ping pong whatever place. I think it sounds like some real bad stuff's going down there. We should check in after the race.
I mean, they are gamers, right? So, like, I don't know, certain
No, it's
subreddits
true.
and forums and stuff like that seem to be where people get radicalized. So
That's true.
maybe that's why they couldn't use those first couple of guys. I don't know. They had to wait for one that was normal.
Now, the one thing about diegetically doing sound in headphones after not doing it is that it helps if you have licensed more than 3 songs. If you're going to do it 7 times.
No. Instead, it's better if it's the same ones a couple times. I mean, listen, to be fair, it could have been 15 different Kenny G songs. I'd never know.
Facts.
Or Enya. The Enya one I kind of recognize, but like not the other one.
You don't immediately recognize the Orinoco flow from the immediate first couple notes.
Is that what that song's called?
Orinoco flow, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a different song the whole time, and then he says Enya at one point. I forget when this happens. Or maybe it's just in the final screen when it's like he still listens to Enya and Kenny G. And I was like, oh, that's Enya. Okay. I'm pretty bad at music. But wait, that makes way more sense, though, because this came out in 2000. Like, this happened in the 2013, I guess, is closer to when that came out. But it's not that much closer to when Enya was happening. But yeah. What was David Harbour listening to? Did we ever?
Black Sabbath.
Right, yeah.
And it's because something about it is like good for him. I don't remember why, but it was Black Sabbath is good for him for some reason.
It gets him in that flow state that he used to get into in racing.
Right.
Okay. That's good, I guess.
He loves racing because it's what he used to do.
Yeah, it really resonates with him.
I don't know. I liked him in this. I thought he was good. I think his acting bits where he was acting were good. And I think it's a shame that the Hellboy movie is bad. Like, I think he was good in the Marvel movie he's in, the whatever it is, Black Widow or whatever. And the Stranger Things he's in is good. I'm trying to think of what else I know him from. Like, what else besides the first Suicide Squad movie
From the
is
Black
David
Widow?
Harbour from? Yeah, but besides that, like, besides that, Hellboy and Stranger Things?
From that Santa movie?
Oh, yeah.
Santa movie. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was good in that. I like that too. Oh, yeah, the Ghost. We Have a Ghost. He was in that.
He was.
Everybody hates that, but he was in that. Yeah, he's the Ghost. They got him.
Ooh.
The Ghost We Have.
Yeah, he's in a small bit in Extraction 1.
The Ghosts We Have sounds like the title of some kind of really deep personal memoir.
Yes, it sounds like The Fault in Our Stars or something like that. Like, absolutely.
These are the ghosts we have.
It
Whoever
sounds like
wrote
one
that
of those
right now, if
plays
you're
where
listening.
people look dramatically off into the distance and start monologuing about how if they'd won the state pig throwing championship in 1997, it would have changed their entire lives instead of being
Yeah.
sad and miserable like they are now.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? He'd be good in that too, probably. He's got that very middle America kind of regular guy thing to him. I wonder if he does
Right.
plays. He's got enough Marvel money that he could start doing plays now and stuff.
He can do whatever he wants.
He's doing those creature commandos. He's one of the creature commandos. So he's Frankenstein. It's kind of like Hellboy.
Is he
Ooh.
having a moment right now? Is that what's going on? Is that what's going on?
I think it's a slow moving moment where everybody's just like, this guy's
Okay.
good, but it's not. I wouldn't say he's quite overexposed the way that other people who have had moments like this have. I think it's
That's
really
fair.
helps that Hellboy flopped, honestly, because
Yeah,
if that
that's
was
true.
a big thing, it would have been bad.
But everyone likes him though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what you want. You want to be liked and be good in the things you're good in, but you don't have so many hits that you're in every movie in a summer and then everybody hates you. Like,
That's interesting.
but yeah, he was in War of the World. He was in Brokeback Mountain, Quantum of Solace, Revolutionary Road. Like, he's been out there for a while. The Green Hornet, if we ever do that, he's in that apparently.
Oh.
And yeah, and then he was in like the first Equalizer, I guess. The Newsroom. I remember him in The Newsroom. He's there when what's his name shakes hands with the pilot because of 9/11.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he was Suicide Squad and Stranger Things and all that stuff. So
Well,
he's apparently
go ahead.
I was gonna say he's in another video game movie coming out soon, maybe next year.
Which one?
Alone in the Dark. They're doing that again.
Okay.
Yeah, him and Jodie Comer. It's an animated thing, it looks like.
Based on that video game?
I guess so.
Wow.
I don't know if it's like the video game. There's another one of these where like in real life, because it's like a haunted house or something, right? Or something.
Alone in the Dark has been a lot of things over many years, but basically, yes.
So like I don't know if this is like he's like the main character running around doing Alone in the Dark stuff, or if Alone in the Dark is a popular video game and a company that investigates haunted houses holds a contest to get the best Alone in the Dark player. And he is the washed up haunted house man who has to talk about how much he hates the video game part of this.
Right. It's like all the dang kids with their Alones in the Dark and their what's that ghost hunting video game that people like right now, or they liked like a couple years ago at least.
I was gonna say Silent Hill, Resident Evil. I don't know.
No. It's the multiplayer one where you're like actually doing like ghost hunter shit.
Ghostbusters, and they made a Ghostbusters game.
I mean, they did, but that's not what I mean. It's not important.
Casper. They make a Casper game?
I don't think they have. I think that's an uncornered
what?
Market.
Come
Guys,
on.
We should make a Casper video game.
We should.
Hell yeah.
I mean, Casper's old. Maybe the rights are up. You know, he's like an old-timey like comic strip character.
Phasmophobia. That's the name.
Oh, I have heard of this. Yes.
I have not.
Nando, you've probably seen the Donkey video on it.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, it's funny.
A lot of these look the same to me because this is the one. Because what's the other thing that like Amnesia, right? That's another one of these kind of like
right. Well,
just walking around the house and getting
it's
scares.
Like not a plot-based game like all of those ones. This one is just like a multiplayer game where you and your friends go into a haunted house and you do like a ghost hunter shit. Like you have their fucking spirit boxes or whatever the hell they use to figure out what kind of ghost is in there and take care of it.
Does somebody get to play as the ghost?
No, the ghost is just there.
Wow.
The game is the ghost. Yeah.
Because that part would be cool. I know there's a game like that, right? Where somebody gets to play as the ghost man, monster man, and everybody else is like the kids at the house.
Yeah, that's
Daylight or
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe David Harbour's. Yeah. Well, David Harbour's going to be in the movie of Alone in the Dark, I guess, or something. Maybe it's a video game.
So much Phasmophobia that he's allowed to be in Alone in the Dark.
You know what? I think IMDb just doesn't do a great job of categorizing these. I think he's in the video game of Alone in the Dark. And
are they making a new video game?
Yeah, I think they are, and him and Jodie Comer are in it. It's directed by a director. Like on IMDb, you could be convinced this is, but I think this is a game.
Oh.
Looks like it's by the people who did like Amnesia, so that's kind of like this. But yeah, I don't know. I thought David Harbour was pretty good. What about Orlando Bloom? What do we think of him? That guy's got a shower.
Was absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
they
what
kept
is there to
threatening to have him have a personality and a role in the movie, but they never actually do it.
Yeah, they absolutely refused.
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing, right? Is like he's the bad guy in this movie at some point. If the movie is brave, if the movie is not produced by him specifically, his character is the one that pulls the plug and fucks him over. But
yeah,
they can't do that, which is a shame.
I mean, I honestly like. I don't know why he's here, except for the beginning of the movie. Like he should do his little speech at the beginning and then be gone. I think that would be like the most effective use of him. Because I at points I just find him so incredibly dull, but also redundant to what David Harbour's doing also.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you're not doing anything here, so why do I care?
I guess in reality, if this movie didn't have him, there would have to be some other character, probably one of the actual Nissan executive guys who's saying like, this is bad that this guy isn't good at driving or something or whatever. And that can so he does make sense actually as like this weird convenient buffer character between all the people that actually exist and all the decisions the main characters in the movie make. As like they actually thought it was bad, but Orlando Bloom's character thought it was a good idea, so he kept going.
if that had ever been dramatized at any single point in the entire movie, then then I would get why he's thinking.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the movie is so bad, because the movie is his character is a microcosm of the entire movie. Like, every character is who they are when you meet them. There is no growth. The events just happen around them and they moderately respond. Like, the kid is the gamer. He's always a gamer. He doesn't really evolve. He's just good the whole time. And that's it. That's like how the whole thing goes.
Well, he gets upset that he killed someone, but then he finds the courage to not care anymore.
Exactly. David Harbour is hard on all the gamers. He's hard a little bit on this guy, but then he was right about the brakes. So he's like, you know what? This guy's a good one.
This is one of the good ones.
Yeah. Orlando Bloom is Orlando Bloom. So, like, I don't know, like, what I'm watching this for.
I would say
so bland.
I think David Harbour has like an arc. He has like a his character grows. I do think the gamer kid doesn't really. He has that like that little stumble at the of his like kind of, should I be driving this car anymore? But yeah, that doesn't really last super long, because then David Harbour's like, you should actually drive more. But
I do want to say, other people have brought this up in context of this movie, but I want to give voice to it because I kind of agree. I think it's a little crass the way they do the real incident of him having an accident that killed someone in this movie. Because, like, as a basic plot point of he gets in a bad accident and, you know, somebody dies and he's upset about it and it's something he has to, like, overcome to keep being a cool racer boy, is, like, fine in a fictional movie. But treating a real person who actually died as, like, a vehicle for this guy to have some, like, character growth and reflection feels kind of gross.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that. Knowing that they happened, if they happened in the opposite order in real life, in the order that they happened in the movie, then I'd be like, oh, no, that's just the story of this kid. But the fact that they switched them and had the Le Mans thing happen after that does feel strange.
Like, I feel like some people think what people mean by that is, like, this terrible thing that happened to Jan. They shouldn't have made a movie plot point out of it, but, like, he signed off on the movie. He's involved. Like, he can have bad things that happen to him in the movie if he wants. But there's another person who was harmed in this event who we don't learn anything about. We get no perspective on. We never even get a name. And, like, maybe, you know, the family wants privacy. The name was never released. Whatever. That's fine. But it just feels weird to me to have this whole thing be about him. And I'm like, there's a real person who died because of this.
Yeah, it's weird. I do think, I think the movie makes the case for, like, it's not his fault, which I think is fair, I guess, based on what David Harbour says.
I'm not blaming him for what happened.
Oh, sure. But, yeah, I don't know what you would do with that, if there's a way to, like, handle that differently. If you have to make the movie about Jan, you could just skip it. I mean, you could end it in Le Mans, but then it is a very, like, nothing really changes kind of movie.
Well, I mean, if you're making up everything else about the movie, just make up some other kind of adversity. I mean, the gaming racist driver who starts the petition to ban all gamers because of their inferior genes. Like, none of that happened.
Yeah, but then true. I feel like Jan has to crash at some point. That has to be, like, some moment of, like, maybe I'm not as good of a driver as I think, and there's consequences.
Right.
And you could write in a second crash or something. Like, you could just ignore the real one and just write in another crash where he flips over once or twice, and it's like, oh my God. But then it's like you're like writing the real thing out of the movie almost, even if in reality you're not really doing exactly that. You're just putting in some sort of obstacle. I feel like you probably want to, I don't know.
But you could have, to Dickens' point, there is so much that is made up in this movie. You could just like make up a crash where, like, why isn't the crash horrifying? Like, because of what happens, it's like obviously the death is the horrifying thing, but he could go through a crash, like have everything play out where he gets medevaced, his parents are like freaking out, like everyone's worried, and like that can be the trauma, because then at least it's about him. But like it's almost shittier because it was like, oh no, like I'm good, but you know, because this person died, like that's, you know, it's like I'm fine, but that's because it's a true tragedy, like don't worry about me.
See,
like we could just focus on him as a character.
I feel like if you do that way, the criticism would be that you wrote this story and then created this fictional crash that takes away the consequences of the real crash. Like,
well, guys, I think we should just not make the movie.
That's the only option. Or you just pick a different guy. You pick one of the other, you know, gamers that did this.
Other hashtag gamers, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they were even more nerdy and that way, more unlikable than him.
Is that even possible?
I mean, well, I guess you said one of them was Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they just wanted one who's like who speaks English? And I don't know if this guy does, but like if they were just like, it's got to be this guy's, we have to sell this movie to America, and they hate subtitles so much they won't even watch really, really good movies, and our movie's going to be okay, but like, you know, we can't give them any other reason to not like it. I don't know, but they did do it.
Yeah, that's true. They sure did.
What else is interesting? Oh, Dubai is weird. I have that as a note. It's a weird fucking place, man.
Yeah.
Those drone shots of like all the Dubai building, it's like, those aren't real buildings. What's going on with Dubai?
Well, I'll tell you, Nando, it's slave labor.
Yeah, well, that too, I guess. That's just a lot of slave labor all over the world. And, you know, they make buildings that are normal sometimes, but something about that. Dubai is just such a strange, I don't know. It's like Las Vegas. It just doesn't fit.
It's the combination of like unbelievably wealthy oil magnates and crushing poverty everywhere else. It makes this weird like Randian mega state that just exists in the UAE.
It's very strange. It's hard for me to like my character, my hero character, when he goes to Dubai and be happy for him. Japan, different story. Japan is cool, but yeah, Dubai's weird.
Yep.
I have some notes.
Okay, what other notes you got?
All right. Okay, why is the pit crew mean?
Because he's
doesn't make any sense
gamer.
Yeah, he's a well-sturdy gamer.
But they're the losers on like this pit crew. Like they have no reason to be mean to him. It doesn't make any sense why when Harper's goes, everyone's gonna hate you. The other racers, sure. The other sponsors, sure. Like all these other people, but it's like, and also your pit crew. Why? Why would his pit crew hate him?
Because
there's no reason.
It's beneath them to grovel and beg at the feet of a disgusting gamer.
Does it make any sense?
I imagine the in-story reason is just there's no other characters that this kid interacts with in his day-to-day. He doesn't like go speak to the other racers, so he needs to have somebody who hates him. It's this pit crew guy.
They needed to rearrange this movie in a way where a lot of the like racing institution part was like more of the movie, like him making friends or him just like being made fun of, or like they could have fleshed out his character so much, but the movie had no interest. It was so weird.
Well,
that's why I think you have.
Sorry, you go, Nando.
I was just saying, I think you have to cut the part of the movie that is the whole conceit of the movie. Cut the racing academy thing. Go straight from wins the tournament to, or wins like the first online competition to races in Formula One or whatever.
See, I feel like the version of this movie that makes sense is it's not like the pit crew and the other racers who hate him or whatever. It's that the executives are like, well, this is just a silly gimmick. He's not like a real racer. Like, whatever. Like, they're the ones who are dismissive and don't actually believe in him. They're the ones he's proving wrong. But that would require making the Nissan Corporation look bad. And
right.
This is a commercial for them and Sony, so we can't do that.
Yeah, can't have that.
No. Otherwise, you can't play all the Sony sounds in the movie, and then what's the point?
Ba-ting!
Yeah. We can't have graphics that are definitely not the graphics from the game because they look worse.
Yeah, they're kind of generic.
What was going on there?
I don't know.
I felt like I was going out of my mind.
I feel like they were worried if they showed actual graphics from the latest Gran Turismo game, they would look good enough that people will be like, well, surely this isn't a video game. This is just movie CGI. It has, they're like, the average public knows of video games as those bleep bloops and those Pac-Mans. So
Yeah.
we have to make it look bad. So they'll be like, oh, this is the video game, of course, because it doesn't look good.
Yeah, that shit was wild. I like watching, like, that was weird, and then the angles, like, behind the cars.
Yeah.
I like just seemed off, and I couldn't place it, but I know it was off.
It just feels like a lot of really kind of random drone shots of footage of these guys racing, but just like kind of going like, oh, this shot is actually usable from 1 second to 2 seconds, and then like we're gonna put that clip in the middle of it. But
what happened with all the video game shots is that the animator they had working on it hasn't played a single game since Grand Theft Auto 3. That's why there's also cop avoidance.
Yeah.
That shit would have been amazing.
That was in there.
That is cool.
Wait, was it? Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
when
right.
he avoids the cop.
Oh my god. Yeah, you're so right.
During the great pig race of Wales, whatever Diggins would call it, if we did a wheel, but we don't do a wheel, but if we did.
No cops even died, Nando. It's not even worth my time.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a fucking movie.
That would have been insane if this movie started with him killing a couple cops and then just going on the run.
Oh, then it would have gone up a couple points in my estimation.
Yeah.
I would have appreciated if Jimon Hansu was like, I'm not mad at you for killing the cop. I'm mad at you for playing a fucking game.
I'm not mad at you for putting a pig down, son. We all have to do that occasionally.
Yeah, I'd be mad. Like, why aren't you playing Grand Theft Auto, one of those cool games where you get to kill cops? Instead, you're playing this game where you just drive in circles. It's boring. Because I also feel like we're going to run into this soon. Maybe, honestly, within a couple of years, where, like, the characters in Jimon Hansu's position are young enough to have played video games. Like,
right.
The dad has to be like, this isn't exactly what I think a game is, but, like, you know, I played Super Nintendo. I'm not as racist toward gamers as you would expect. Although maybe by then the games will have morphed into something so alien, so Ready Player One-y, that it doesn't even feel like that to us anymore.
Yeah, when 10 years, when DJ Sun wants to be a professional Stardew Valley streamer, like, DJ's gonna know what that means.
That's right.
I want this experiment of playing the video game means you do the thing in real life to, like, go out further. So, like, the farmers of America are like, shit, how do we get more people to farm? Quick, find the person who's logged the most hours in Stardew Valley and recruit them to do the real thing. It's like, I farmed these fields 1,000 times. I know exactly when to plant the seeds, exactly which season. I know the climatology and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you need the fucking Walmart or something to be like, we need to drive these trucks all over America, and it needs to be boring, but we need someone to do it at exactly the perfect speed. Let's get one of those fucking trucking simulator games and see who has the high score and recruit them. Or like one of those lawnmower simulator games and have that guy mow all the lawns, and then we'll see if that guy's the best.
Guys,
like,
quick.
We need
what
to
other
hire
cozy games are there?
We need to hire a new crop of goats. Somebody get us the goat simulator people.
Yeah. We need to We need to put a goat costume on a person so we can blend in and inseminate all the goats or something like that.
Oh my god.
To get the best goat simulator in the world.
Quick. We need someone to travel the stars and engage in incredibly boring dialogue while someone stares directly at their eye sockets. Get someone who's liked a lot of Stardew Valley time.
You mean
Starfield.
Guys,
yeah.
We need somebody to go spend a bunch of time at an outdoors camp with some horny singles. Somebody get me the Baldur's Gate 3 players.
Yeah, we need someone to have sex with the most unlikable magician in the world, who has the most hours on Gale. Get a contest going, otherwise we'll never be able to shut him up.
That joke is for like 5 people.
It's
They're
such
all
a
our
popular
friends.
game now. I feel like everyone knows Gale. Even if you don't play the game, you know Gale sucks, right? I feel like this is a meme that's permeated the culture.
Also, even if you don't understand anything else we said, I feel like you got a sensible chuckle out of me saying horny singles.
Yeah,
It's true.
Oh man. What was I gonna say? I had another note. Oh, remember when Michael Bay took over the camera for a couple of minutes and we just watched the army
Oh my
parachute
God,
into
yes.
the fucking race? What was that all about?
While La Marseillaise played, so it wasn't Michael Bay. It was Michel Bay.
Oh yeah, that's true. The French New Wave, Michael Bay. It was, man, that was a lot. I was like,
it is me. I love the
Oh,
concourse
no.
and the explosion.
that's true. In French Michael Bay, because there's not a director's strike, you are able to come out and promote your movies. So
That is right.
I'm-
The DGA has agreed to all of the insane demands for some reason. So I am allowed to come out here and promote all of my favorite movies.
Mikel, what was your name? Sorry, I forgot already.
Michel Bay.
Michel, right? Michel Beck. What was your favorite part of working on this movie? Did you have a hard time like empathizing with the gamers? Do you guys have video games in France?
Yes, we do have video games. They are mostly about being mimes and eating cheese and drinking wine. Although we do have a very intense ratatouille simulator where you play as a little rat controlling a chef man.
That would be hard to do because you're a rat. Do you play it like with Wii controls and like move the hair like Ratatouille does, or is it a controller-based game?
They've built a specialized controller that is a wig attached to a sensor that you put on the hair to make the little chef man do what you want.
That sounds incredible. Actually, it sounds like really cool. What does this run on? Is it PlayStation, Xbox?
It's actually only on the Dreamcast, which is still the most popular console in France.
That is how that works. Some
That's a
weird
shame.
thing caught on and it exists in one other country and not anywhere else.
Not many people know this, but over in France, we are on the Dreamcast 4.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, they kept making them here.
Does it still have the little memory card thing that goes in the controller, but it's also a screen that you could like take to go that I think was made to be like a little like Pokeball for your chows in Sonic Adventure?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have that still?
You refer, of course, to the VMU.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank
Oui,
you.
of
Thank you.
course.
In 2023, it must be amazing.
Indeed, the VMU is like, how you say, the screen on the Switch. It is like a big controller, almost.
Yeah, really, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time in that sense.
Indeed, that
Oh
is
my
what
God.
we in France have always been saying.
And I mean, we know, obviously, we've seen, there's Sonic and, Soul Calibur and all those other fantastic Dreamcast games. I just Googled it because I wanted to see. Are you guys still playing those Seaman games?
Oh, yes. Over in France,
Remember
we
this?
are on to Seaman 15. in
TJ,
fact.
have you ever heard of the Seaman game?
I have not.
It's
Yes, you see,
horrible.
what you see, DJ, how it works is you have a little fish, yes? You raise him
Yep.
up, he is little egg, and then he hatches into little fish, goes through many cycles of life. The final cycle of his life, of course, is he becomes a little fish man with the face of a human being, and he talks to you because he has this power of speech. And then
That's right.
eventually he ascends to a higher plane of existence, leaving behind a new egg for you to raise into a new seaman. And the
Apparently-
whole
Sounds like-
time it is being narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
Oh my god. This sounds like a horrible reverse Octodad situation, and I don't like it.
It's like someone took all the worst parts of the Chow parts and then just made what if instead it had a human face sometimes. And also, apparently, there's a microphone peripheral that you would get to play
Yes.
this because you would
You
use
can
voice
s-
commands.
Yes, you can speak to your little seaman.
My God.
Oh god.
This is horrible. DJ, you should Google this. Everybody should look this up. Seaman Dreamcast.
I cannot. Are you telling me that Seaman was not a national sensation here in the United States?
I mean, if it was, I missed it. It seemed like the Angry Video Game Nerd did some Seaman stuff, and that's probably about as far as it got. It is truly horrible. Santa Claus is in it.
You are truly deprived. Yes, you like many games at the time. It had, date-sensitive events. If you played on Christmas, your little seaman had a big Christmas event for them where they celebrated the joyous holiday, La Joie Noël, if you will.
Oh my goodness, this is terrible.
so-
This is terrifying.
So just like Animal Crossing in that way, right?
Yes, but the
Same-
faces on these human hybrids are much more realistic.
Oh, good. I think that's what we were missing, huh? Oh my god.
That is really, really weird looking thing. My goodness. Well, that was really my only question.
We kind of got sidetracked from talking about my role in Gran Turismo.
That's right. Yeah, Gran Turismo. Right. Do you think that it's cool to race cars? Are you into that sort of thing, Michelle Ba?
Well, I normally, I like the idea of it, but, a few minutes in, nobody has exploded yet, and I start to lose interest.
Right, because you are Michelle Bach, Michael Bay's. Are you related, cousin, or something? Are you from an alternate dimension? How do you know him?
Yeah, it was actually a cloning accident. While your Michael Bay was touring a science lab where he was getting ideas for new ridiculous plots he could do for his movies. A bit of his blood fell into a machine, along with a bit of camembert, and out popped me, Michel Bach.
Now that I think about it, that's kind of what happens in the Transformers movies. The clone father or whatever you call him made, it was all about the mutant guys becoming like at least the second one, the Out of the Shadows, which I think is the better of the two, to be honest.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right, yeah.
You said the Transformer.
Well, sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. Although, now that I think about it, do the Transformers have clones? Probably not. What about the ambulance? Is there any clones in that? Do you guys have an ambulance? What is that in France? Do you guys have ambulances, or are they called something else?
Of course, we have the...
and then, can you put an abbreviation for the city the ambulance is in? Can you fit that into the word for ambulance? Because that's a big part of why it worked in America. Because you got the L.A. in the word ambulance.
Yeah. How would that work for the French version?
That's very important for marketing. I would say that's the whole pitch. Is you walk into the room with the executives and you write the word ambulance on the whiteboard, and then you underline the LA, and then they get it.
We call them the VSAV, the Véhicule de Secours et d'Assistance aux Victimes.
Oh, that's very French. Yeah.
I'd say aggressively so.
I could see it. And you could probably get Jake Gyllenhaal for that one too. He's a big star internationally, I feel like.
He has done some foreign language films. Perhaps Prince I will do my own Paris
Possible.
I think it'd be cool. Yeah.
Anyway.
Are they ever making a second one of these, Michel Ba? A second Gran Turismo?
We get more.
We have been in talks with Monsieur Lucas Ordonez to adapt his story, yes.
No, one of the other guys?
Yes, indeed. We are thinking of building a cinematic universe of the GT competition winners. As again, there are several of them. This ran for many years, in fact.
Is it still going?
No, it ended in around 2016, I believe.
Thanks, Trump. That's what happens. When
exactly.
He's a Cheeto in chief.
He's a dang Cheeto in chief, as they say in France.
Yeah. I am excited for more of these because I think eventually they'll figure it out and like really make a cool one. I guess, gosh, I don't know what else do you have coming out in the pipeline, Michelle Bach? Like any other movies there's to look out for? Anything else we should look out for in Michael Bay's pipeline? The French.
Well, I am working on a new thing over here. It is called Le Rock. It is about it is about the prison island of Elba, where Napoleon was exiled first before being sent to Saint Helena. It is about the zombie of Napoleon has arisen and stolen a neurotoxin. And so Nicolas Cage has to go in and help steal it back before Napoleon unleashes the neurotoxin so that all the back pay for his zombie revolutionary soldiers can be paid out.
This makes sense because this is why they're making that Napoleon movie with what's his name with Beau is Afraid, that man,
Joaquin
the
Phoenix.
Joker.
Yes, because we have to do the prequel before we set up the universe before we can do my masterpiece.
That makes sense. So Nicolas Cage, is he the older? Is he playing the Sean Connery role?
Yes, exactly. That is the twist. He is the Sean Connery role in this one.
That's fun. Who is the Nicolas Cage of today then? Who's the young buck who follows all the rules?
That would be Chloe Grace Moretz. We are doing a little gender flip, as you say.
Oh, because then we got the Kick-Ass reunion is back, baby.
Exactly. We are riding on that Kick-Ass train that everyone so loves.
It's a train that exists. They might even reboot it, I think, or something. So,
What are they?
Aaron Taylor Johnson's back, baby.
Exactly.
Perhaps
you're telling
we're
me,
actually
Michelle.
in talks to get Aaron Taylor Johnson to play zombie Napoleon.
Oh,
Thank goodness.
you gotta worry. You might be busy with Craven sequels. That one got delayed, but
That is a
you
good
gotta
point.
lock him down before
That's
everybody
true.
sees that new one. It got Russell Crowe in it. It's gonna be good.
Yes, and he is
Well-
doing a very realistic Russian accent. Much like
Yeah.
my own very realistic accent.
Do you have a realistic Russian accent?
No, I mean my realistic French accent because I am French.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's from
right.
France.
Right.
He'd
no,
probably do a
realistic.
fun Russian accent, but we'll save that for
I
when we
bet.
have you on for the Napoleon movie, which we'll obviously do when we do it. In the podcast.
Yes, it seems such a natural fit for your podcast.
I mean, we love Napoleon over here. We're big fans. I like his little hats. I was a big fan of the hats. And I like that he's not actually that short. He's 5'6", you know. They didn't give him the respect he deserved. They pretend he's
Right.
really short, but he's a normal sized man.
A lot of people say that a lot of people are respecting him more and more lately on account of finding out that he reinstituted slavery in the French colonies.
Oh, did?
Yeah, he did. That is a real historical fact, my friend.
And listen, he can't be perfect, you know. He can be a short king, one of the best among us, but then he also did other things that were bad. Yeah, that's
You get credit for everything.
Exactly.
That's really what we're saying.
well, thank you so much for coming on, Michelle Bach.
Yeah,
we
I
will
really
be
appreciate it.
Very excited, looking out for whatever that ambulance, all those words were that I kind of forgot about. And then this. Yeah. Take care, Michael Michel Bach. Au revoir, as they say.
Au revoir, mon ami.
Oh man, what a great interview that was. On the spot too. Just felt really good about it.
When I saw the parts with the army, I was like, we got to get somebody to talk about this. Like, this is too important a part of this movie to ignore.
I watched it and I was like, this is the most moving use of La Marseillaise since Casablanca.
That's a high bar, but you know what? I think it clears it. I think it might be better, if you ask me.
I mean, the only thing more inspiring than a group of people living under a literal Nazi dictatorship, reclaiming a bit of their pride in the face of Nazi aggression, is the same thing happening, but a gamer fighting against gamer oppression.
That's right. It's yeah, you know, it's a hard life. I mean, this movie, I don't think this movie made very much money. It can't have. But also, it got reviews that were like, okay. The reviews were all over the place. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is apparently full of lies and you can't trust anything it says, but also
Nice.
They were in like the 60s, I think, or something like that.
I believe it is in the zone that if you were to write up the Wikipedia summary, one would call it a mixed reception.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, just on this podcast, we had a mixed reception,
That's
right?
true. Yeah. I think
We're all
it
over the
cost
place.
60 million to make. Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it apparently it's approaching 80 million globally. People overseas could see, I could see this making money overseas. Places where they
Yeah.
respect Formula One and stuff.
Right, where they, for whatever
just
reason,
wish-
think watching people drive cars for 24 literal hours is fun.
For a full day.
That
And
is
listen,
such a like outlier thing. That's why I was really trying to figure out like what this racing was. Because the thing I love about Formula One races is they're like nice and quick, in and out, like 90 minutes.
right.
I wouldn't call
And
90 minutes quick for racing a car.
Right.
For a sporting event, it's like pretty quick. Like sports are long. That's just the way things is.
I want to race like that race from The Boys where A Train races Static Boom or whatever his name is, and it's like 1/10 of a second long, and then you go home.
If people are in the stands, like fucking pumped for it,
Right? What do you like? I imagine you'll be there for the beginning and get to see all the guys, and then you show up at the end, but you're not there the whole day, right?
Oh hell nah.
Yeah.
Hell nah.
But I mean, maybe some people are. Maybe they camp out. I mean, this is what we do this at Daytona in America, to be fair. We're not much smarter than the rest of the world. And like Indy and all that stuff. Like we have those. But those just seem like they're big block parties, like from videos I've seen. It's people getting drunk in the parking lot and fighting and stuff. I wonder if that's what's happening
Those
here.
classic American pastimes.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're not fighting those things, what are you doing?
exactly.
Come on.
What are you doing? yeah, this movie made $80 million. I could see it making another 10, 20, and then clearing 100, and then it's profitable-ish. So,
Well, it depends on what type of bookkeeping we're asking.
yeah. I mean, it's already made more money than The Pope's Exorcist and Plane. So,
Impossible.
pretty good.
How could any
that's what
movie
they
be
say.
more profitable than The Pope's Exorcist?
Or Plane. You know?
Yeah.
I
We got
refuse
two
to
big
believe it.
movies. Less profitable than... It's right under... Okay, here we go. At $100 million worldwide, on a budget of like 250, though, is Haunted Mansion. It's 27th for the year. 90, 28th for the year. You got Air, 29. You have 87 for the year. This is Cocaine Bear. Then No Hard Feelings with 86 million, and then Gran Turismo with 81. Although there's something called The Roundup No Way Out. I don't know what this is. This is some sort of like movie from another country or something. Didn't make very much money overseas,
So it doesn't count.
Yeah, it made 1% of its money domestically. But yeah, so like Gran Turismo made almost as much money as the movie where Jennifer Lawrence sleeps with a child, and made a little bit more money than the movie where the devil gets involved with the Pope in some way. Interesting.
Well, go figure.
Yeah, and I doubt they'll make a sequel, but if they did, what would it even be?
Diggins, apparently that there's other people embroiled in this nonsense, so maybe it's them. Maybe we follow their fucking stories. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, it would have to be about the making of this movie or something, because that's the next thing that happened in this guy's life.
Oh God.
Maybe his dad would hate movies.
I don't want another movie like this. I really don't.
I mean, it's not even the only.
They're going to build up the cinematic universe. There's going to be a movie at every single person who raced at that Le Mans.
Yeah.
And all of them are going to end at that Le Mans. Including, we're going to get the Gaming Racist movie. So we get to see the story of Nicholas Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank goodness.
He seems like he was just a regular racist movie, too. He didn't seem like he liked anybody. That guy sucks.
Well, he's
There's a lot of
rich,
car
so he
racing
probably
movies.
is also regular racist.
That's fair. I was gonna say, yeah, we have Fast 10 this year. This Gran Turismo movie, Ferrari coming out this year, and then I don't know something called Rally Road Racers. I don't know if that is. It's on Peacock, but yeah, fair amount of car movies this year.
People love cars for unfathomable reasons.
I mean, John Wick, right? That's practically a car movie half the time. There's a lot of cars in these movies. Like in Mission Impossible, lots of car stuff in there. People love their cars.
They do.
Yeah,
We haven't seen
people
Pope's Exorcist, but
people are no-taste clowns who love bad things, Nando.
that's exactly right.
100%. 100%.
Anything else about this one?
I don't think so. It was a weird movie.
Yeah, it's a weird
It was a
movie.
weird movie and nobody liked it. The end.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time. All right. You guys want to get to our classic segment?
I think so.
All right. DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
Yeah. So we're allowed to rec podcasts, right? Or did we make that illegal? I can't remember.
It's legal. You just have to qualify that you, the listener, are not allowed to listen to it until you've listened to our podcast of that week.
Right.
So anyway, that all having been said, I would like to recommend a podcast if it's okay with the council. Podcast I want to recommend is a little podcast called Strike Force 5. Have you guys heard of this?
I have heard of this. Is it any good? I was kind of looking forward to, but I saw it today and I was like, oh, should I listen to this?
It's good. Yeah, it's definitely worth your time. So for those who don't know, it is the 5 late night hosts. So the 2 Jimmys, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and John Oliver. Unfortunately, Nando, Bill Maher is not a part of this.
I mean, he's just out there with the workers on the picket line trying to put out, he's ripping the signs out of their hands and stomping on them in the dirt like that guy trying to fold up that racism sign. Remember that video where that guy can't fold it and he's like, it looks like a real loser? Yeah, that's what Bill's up to right now. He's one of those guys that's in the room with the different people doing the bargaining, and he's like, guys, we can't do that because that's wacky. And then they say, which part of it? And he says, it. Okay, listen. And then he kind of moves on. That was my favorite video this week. I watched it maybe 5-6 times. He's so.
Do you want to talk about that real quick?
He's
we'll go
the
on one of our
dumbest
famous
man.
tangents.
Yeah, so Bill Maher, my favorite person.
This week, right?
Yeah, no. Club Random, everybody. I know we're not supposed to rep podcasts, but yeah, Bill Maher, my favorite man, the wrongest man of all time. He had Jim Gaffigan on, and he just kind of complained about how the writer's strike is wacky and they have bad ideas, and it's a classic Bill Maher thing where he has absolutely no specifics. He clearly has no idea what he's talking about, and Jim Gaffigan just kind of lets him do it, which is great. Good for you, Jim. That's pretty much it. It's just pretty funny.
Lets him do it, and then asks very basic follow-up questions that he can't answer.
Yeah. And he's like, and I think Bill Maher. I also think Jim Gaffigan probably doesn't know everything about the strike. Like, he's not super clued into everything, but he's just like, I don't know, man. I heard the CEOs make a lot of money and they wanted money from the CEOs. Isn't that fine? And that's all most people know about the strike or whatever. And that's fine. Unless you're against it. And then you probably have to have a better explanation for why you don't like it. Bill does not. He'll never do that.
Well, have you considered that it's wacky?
So much. It is wacky that they want to not be replaced with computers, and not everybody deserves a job, but everybody does deserve to work for Bill Maher or something. Like, Bill Maher deserves writers, I guess.
Well, it's so dumb. It's like, I mean, look, being a writer doesn't mean you're entitled to a living wage. And I wonder if his writers are like, yeah, this guy's so right. We're not entitled to a living wage.
I mean, they're not entitled to it. I feel like they're going to be none writers left. Like, it's going to be him, I imagine. There's no Bill Maher writers going to work for Bill Maher unless you do to sabotage him, which would be fun. But I don't know how you would know you're doing it, because it would just be the same things he says.
I don't know how true this is, so take this with a grain of salt. I have heard that the Bill Maher writers are paid better than many of the other late night writers because he's so annoying to work for.
I believe it. I mean, I've heard he's really annoying to work for. That part is very
it tracks.
Yeah, and like, I mean, you gotta figure if the podcast he's on with his friends, he still isn't like nice to them. I can't imagine working for him is better. Like, if you watch some of these interviews he does with people that are like just comedians, not like, politicians, where he's trying to do hardball questions.
Coffee?
I mean, I would jump out of a car like James Bond or something. I would find the button that ejects me from that car, slurp up all that coffee in one hot second and get out of there, because man, his interviews are rough, and he's also just dumb. I love him so much. I really do miss him, because like, I know his takes would be really bad, but I forgot he does this podcast and he does have takes out there. So
Nando knows what he's doing on his non-existent commute from now on.
Yeah, honestly, I get a job just so I could commute. But anyway, so yeah, no Bill on the whatever.
Right, so he's not. Who knows why? But he's not on the Strike Force 5.
He also was complaining about late night hosts not having edge like him this week too. That was the other like little sticking point he had with Jim Gaffigan, complaining about how like Stephen Colbert and them, they're not real. It's amazing. So he probably just found out they had the show right before he started taping his show and was mad that they didn't invite him.
You're right, Nando. I love him. He's so great.
He's fascinating.
Fucking treasure. Anyway, so this podcast, it's 5 late night hosts. They have a podcast where they put this together to support their writing staffs. It's sponsored by like one of the tequila companies or whatever. And so they kind of get on and they just talk like different random like Hollywood stuff, and kind of like what their experience going through the strike and how this is kind of affecting them. And it's like definitely like interesting. And they're doing like a rotating thing where each time a different host is the moderator. And I think they said they're going to do 12. And then like, I think they'll figure it out if like this keeps going, or if the fucking strike ends, then it won't be necessary anymore. But
TJ,
yeah, it's just like
never ending.
I mean, at this point, it's like they're losing more money than they're making by having the strike end. So it does feel like it's just for spite or something now. I don't completely understand it.
They're just indignant at the idea that they should have less money.
Yeah,
any amount less, even a cent less. It's viscerally insulting to them that other people should have money, people who are not them.
Oh, right. It's that part, right? Even if they got to make more money, it's the fact that other people who are less than them would also make money and therefore be closer to them in money. And they can't have that. Also, they're probably
No,
doing
I
lots
think
of
they have
fraud that
that.
would come out if they started showing the book. So they can't show that either. That's my other conspiracy theory about all this. But
I do like that one. So it's a good podcast. I definitely recommend listening. The first episode that wasn't the intro episode, they kind of like all talk about like doing their first episodes and getting into the rhythm and how long it takes to get comfortable into doing that job. Right? Colbert famously like was kind of rough when he started. Nando, didn't you and I go see his like second or third episode or something?
I remember we saw one of the first ones.
It was it was like a second week at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's a good podcast. Yeah, I don't have much else to rec besides that. I mean, I started season 2 of Demon Slayer, which is also just the movie, and it's good so far. But I can't keep saying that every week. Did the Ultimatum? Yeah, there's like some reality TV stuff coming out. Nando, season 3 of F-Boy Island comes out in like a month and a half. So we'll have that. You'll have to find it on the CW.
Really?
It's on the CW. Yeah, it's not on like Max or whatever. It's on the CW.
Wait, but like not even on Max at all? Like
I'm not sure. I just know that it's on the CW. I don't know beyond
Island.
that. I don't even know what the CW
difficult.
is.
Yeah,
It's what WB
right?
turned into.
Right.
Okay.
Or like
Well,
UPN
anyway,
kind of too.
they
I don't
kinda
remember when this
combined and turned
happened, but
into
yeah, they merged.
Okay. Well, that's what FY Island's gonna be on. I'll do some more digging and figure out how we'll watch it. But yeah. Oh, you know what? I started watching. Nando, remind me. Did you watch season 4 of Love Is Blind?
Which one was that?
It was the one with Zach, who was like the weird, creepy lawyer who gave every person who watched them the ick.
Kind of, but I can't remember that much about him.
So and I'll throw this out as like a rec too. They dropped the After the Altar for season 4, which is like the year later, and it's pretty good. They just, these sickos won't stop, and they should definitely stop, but they won't stop.
Wait, Love Is Blind, is that the one where that one guy was cheating on the girl and we learned at the end? Or maybe I'm thinking of season 3.
No, because that did well, the girl kind of cheated on the guy and like left him, but like maybe they weren't cheating. She said the timelines were clean, but he's like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so that's this season then?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it's good. It's good. Like these people need to stop, but they won't, and it's good television. So we'll keep fucking watching. But yeah, that's everything I have to rec. So I will pass it on to Diggins.
That's me. Wow. I watched a couple movies this week. I'm going to rec them right now. One is it's an old, well, I say older, it's like 2015. It's a Korean movie called Right Now, Wrong Then. It's kind of I don't know quite what like genre to call it, but the basic premise is like a director who's like screening one of his films has shown up in this like small city a day early. So he's just kind of like walking around, and he runs into this young woman who he kind of like hits it off with, and they like spend the day together, just like I don't know, just like going to a coffee shop, eating sushi. But the thing about it is you see that whole like day play out in the first half of the movie, and then the second half of the movie is the same day playing out again, but with like slight differences in like how they act and what they say that kind of like builds up to like really changing how the day ends. And it's really fascinating, like what it ends up, saying about like human communication and like honesty, in ways that I wasn't fully. The first half is like can feel really awkward at times, and I was a little like not so into it. But then when it got to the second half, and I kind of like fully realized what it was doing, it really got me. I by the end of it, I felt it was like very poignant, and I really enjoyed it. So that is my first rec. It's Right Now, Wrong Then. But forget that, because it's time for my second rec.
Oh,
guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what this is.
Have you seen Bottoms?
Of course not. I'm an American. We don't watch that movie, apparently. It only made $40.
What?
I don't know. I saw a lot of think pieces about this the other day. But no, I have not seen it. You liked it?
It was not only the funniest movie I've seen this year, it might be the funniest movie I've seen in years.
Wow.
Oh.
And this is the year that Ant-Man and Quantumania came out.
I know. Those Ant-Man movies that are so funny and everyone loves.
Yeah, MODOK's little butt.
Yeah.
And this was better than that?
Yeah, well, it's close. It's like
Okay.
neck and neck.
Wow.
But
that's something.
No, this movie is so funny. It's like I feel like even the trailers don't even really fully sell you on how kind of unhinged it is. My friend that I saw it with described it as like taking place in the Daria reality, but without Daria, where everyone's either just like extremely mean, completely demented, or unbelievably stupid, or some combination of
Yeah.
those three.
That's great.
It seems like it
That's
takes
great.
place in the Murderville reality, not but for the fact that Marshawn Lynch is a normal person in it, and the movie takes him seriously at face value, which I always find fascinating. But I bet he's pretty funny. Is he funny?
Marshawn Lynch is pretty funny in that movie, actually.
He seems like he's a funny guy. I don't know what it is.
No, he's not like a huge part of the movie, but he's got a few scenes, and he's really funny. And so it's a Rachel Sennott and Ayo Edebiri. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. And directed by Emma
I've gotten
Seligman.
this out of your system in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode.
I should
Gotta
have
learn how to say her name then, or in our Bear episode that has gone unreleased.
Emma Seligman is the directed Shiva Baby, which also starred Rachel Sennott. I think. Nando, did you recommend that at one point?
I have seen that movie. Yeah, I like it mostly. It's very upsetting. Not upsetting. It's got that kind of like it's a movie that I wouldn't recommend to everybody because it's real tense. It's kind of like what's that other movie with Adam Sandler? Uncut Gems level, just like Jesus, get out of this fucking room now, kind of like energy. But yeah, no, it's good.
I think Bottoms has a lot less anxiety, so you might have more fun
That's
with it.
nice.
It definitely like gets really dark, but in that like comedy way, like really, really black comedy. And just it's so good, you guys. I don't even want to say too much about it, just for fear of spoiling like moments. But they're both just such funny performers. The dialogue is like it's DJ tight 90.
Ah, yes.
But it almost doesn't feel like it in a good way because it is so dense with jokes. Like all the dialogue, like I said, is just like rapid fire, like just jokes hitting you every second. It's so good. So yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. If you haven't seen Bottoms, it's in its wide release now, so it should be a little more widely available than it was when it first came out. You definitely go check that out if you have a chance. What about you, Nando? Do you have anything to recommend?
You know, I'm trying to think. Besides watching like After Party and stuff, I don't think there was too much I like watched this week. I did some there were some it's like a comic catch up week. Well, I didn't even catch up. There were some that I bought that I knew I didn't have, but I like read online. But like there is a new Birds of Prey out that I'm very excited about by Kelly Thompson. The team lineup is interesting because it's got Big Barda on it, and that automatically makes it cool. But it also has like the regular, like Black Canary, and it's got, what it is, Cassandra Cain. I think people don't respect enough, but she is cool. Birds of Prey is like that weird kind of like super amorphous 3 to 5 member group of usually women, although not exclusively, in the Gotham street level kind of crime group. But like it's a very fluid situation where like sometimes like Lady Blackhawk is on it and sometimes Harley Quinn is on it, and it's just it's good. It's a fun team. Kelly Thompson's a fun writer. I will say the other book that I bought this week that I'm excited about, which I haven't read yet, because I've read the what is it, Birds of Prey book, is Fire and Ice have a new book where they've set up in Smallville. And I really like them as a team. Classic weird JLA 80s guys. One is a supermodel turned spy turned fire-powered superhero who is cool and lovable, and everybody's like big
that
personality.
Old chestnut.
Exactly. And the other is kind of queen god thing from Norway who died and then came back to life as Ice Power Lady, and she's her kind of more soft-spoken friend. Yeah, that's right. She is kind of also honest. I'm surprised. I haven't read the book, but I wonder if people in comics have made that connection. But yeah, Fire and Ice are cool. They're another one that like you read these books, you read like Booster Gold, you read Zatanna, you're like, why haven't these been movies? Because this is such a fun premise of just like these two friends who don't really make sense. Like they make a lot of sense, but they're just super weird. So yeah, I'm excited for that. There's some fun X-Men stuff happened this week. Kitty is a ninja now, so I've been loving that. And then I've been trying to get caught up on the Star Wars thing where all the droids are evil or something. I don't really know what's going on with this, but there's an event called Dark Droids by Charles Soule, Luke Ross, and Alex Sinclair. So I like Charles Soule a lot. I just picked up the first one of these in my shop today. The only other thing I'm like paying attention to, or like the only other media I'm consuming that I can think of, besides Club Random, is a book I'm reading. I'm putting big air quotes around it, although it is technically a book. They finally released that Ant-Man book that takes place in the Ant-Man universe or whatever.
I saw you tweet about this.
Yeah, I decided, I was like, I'll make a video about it. It can't be very long. It's not. It's like 100 pages or something like that. That might be more than that, but it's not very long. I started reading it yesterday. I'm about 20% through, according to Amazon. It's fine. So far, no new real chestnuts in the continuity. It's kind of like, oh, this is what he does. But kind of it feels more like a self-help book than anything else, where like Ant-Man's giving us little advices about like how to be nice to people or whatever. So
sure,
that's interesting. I'll make probably a Nando Cut video when I'm done with this. Just kind of as a little book report, because I'm curious what this ended up being. What it was at 6 months after the movie came out. So speaking of that, I don't know if you guys saw this Variety, a Vulture article about how Rotten Tomatoes is a big scam. Have you guys see this?
Oh,
it's good. It opens with there's a movie company or a publicity company that has kind of gamed the Rotten Tomatoes system, where they will pay certain critics to post reviews and really encourage them to post positive reviews on their real Rotten Tomatoes sites. And if they want to post a negative review, put it on like the other one that nobody really reads. And they've used that to like game movies like this Ophelia movie, which is the one that they use as the example, but also like Quantumania gets thrown in there later as like starts really high, or like Flash starts really high and then gets bumped down eventually. Yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, it's just like part of it seems like it's like active fraud, and part of it is like that it is the problem. I mean, it's an active fraud because it's not like they're not lying, but they're like, I mean, I guess the idea of taking critics and being like, post it if it's a good review, that feels like fraudulent in some aspects of the word. But so the bigger problem is this idea that like there just aren't movie critics anymore. Like there are some, and there's some people that like we kind of follow, but for the most part, like there are not Siskel's and Eberts and the people who will come up and say this is a hidden gem, everyone's gonna watch it. It's just become like Rotten Tomatoes, which is this weird number that doesn't really mean anything anyway. Like 100% doesn't mean that it's a perfect movie or whatever, but on the other hand, it is this very gamifiable like number that you can mess around with. It's pretty interesting. I thought the article is called "The Decomposition of Rotten Tomatoes, the most overrated metric in movies, is erratic, reductive, and easily hacked, and yet has Hollywood in its grips" by Lane Brown. Yeah, hacked is a better way to describe it. I'd recommend people play that or read that.
All right.
Yeah. What else we got? What are we doing next week?
Good question. What are we doing next
maybe
week?
We can release that bear episode we never released.
I know. Well, we got to save that for when the people, we got to have one in the chamber just for emergencies. What else is there?
Is anything coming out this week?
No. When's that? The Poirot movie comes out soon, but I don't think it's this week. I think it's next week.
Yeah.
Three Equalizer just came out. We're in the dead zone right now. So.
It's about to get even more dead, but all these movies are going to be pushed.
Yeah, but
it's going to be.
They're still telling me Tune is November 3rd, and there's movie trailers, and I'm like,
true.
Why must you lie to me like this?
I mean, they're still saying Aquaman's going to come out this year, and they haven't even put out a trailer for that. But if you ask them, they will say it's coming out. So yeah, I don't know what to believe.
Continue to lie.
But what was that?
Whatever they got to do, I guess. Maybe we put a poll on Discord or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, only if we promise to ignore it.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we could do that.
Then I'm satiated.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. What about plugs? DJ, do you have anything to plug for the fine people?
So same roses and rejections. Check that out on the Pop Break TV feed. We had on Allie Nelson from Not Couples, who we did a pod with last week. She came on to talk about the Ultimatum season 2. So we had a really fun time with that. So please check that out. And also, everyone, it's by the time this comes out, it is theoretically not too late to sign up for the Mostly Nitpicking Survivor Pool, where you can win fabulous prizes like picking a movie for us to do. It's been tweeted out. I'll repost it in the Discord. As long as you sign up before Sunday, you can pick a game from Sunday's slate. Or even Monday, you can pick between the Jets-Bills game. you still have a chance to enter. So please enter because it's a lot of fun.
And
best of luck to everyone.
all you have to do is figure out who's going to win in a game between the Bills and the one where the guy doesn't wear headphones because he thinks the radiation is going to get him. So
Yes.
use your best judgment. Who could say?
Yeah.
I don't know.
hopefully that
Without
guy
all those
doesn't die on
rays
the
in his
field.
brain, he's going to play pretty good.
That's true. He's got the mind of a gamer. He plays games, I think. I'm pretty sure I've heard him talk about this. So can't count him out.
So yeah, Diggins plugs.
Nope. What about you, Nando?
I put up a few videos recently. I have my casting James Gunn's friends in the DC movies video out on my Nando V Movies channel. On Nebula, I put out my Thor 5 pitch, which I really like and is there. So if anybody whoever has Nebula, you can watch that now. It'll be on YouTube eventually. On Nando Cut, I put out a couple videos this week. One was talking about the fact that apparently Josh Hartnett is in the running for Doom, which I don't love. And then the other was reacting to this new Authority rumored casting, which I don't believe is real. I would say I'm like 30-70 on whether it's real or not. If it is real, some of the casting is good and some of it is bad. So in those videos, I talk about why. But that is on my The Nando Cut YouTube channel. And yeah, next week, keep an eye on the Discord for poll stuff, and we'll figure it out. Until then, I've been at Nando V Movies on Twitter and Instagram and all that.
I'm at Zippy by Day on all the relevant socials.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name on Twitter and maybe something else somewhere else. Maybe you can solve the ARG I've layered throughout this podcast.
Wow. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Ooh.
Bye. 3267.